And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another week, another edition of ESL Open Cup Asia, number 224. I'm, of course, host Live VIP, and with me, I'm joined by these amazing players and by the people in the chat as well. Bienvenidos, everyone. Bienvenidos to another week of some Korean StarCraft, among some other regions as well. I'm happy to see the bracket filled up here with not just Koreans, but also with players from Southeast Asia, even from a single player from Europe as well. But we'll get there. We'll get there as we dive into our first series, because spawning in the top left-hand corner of Oceanborn, we have our Chinese Protoss player, the Blue Protoss, representing Team Offside. It is Firefly. Representing Offside Esports, and spawning in the bottom right hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the red Zerg player representing Berserker Esports. It is Smile. Here we go. Okay. Here we go. Now, this Smile, not to be confused with the Peruvian Smile, aka Fuego, the streamer, aka player as well. No, very different Smile from the land of Hong Kong, I believe, at least according to the ESL bracket. And I have not had the luxury of casting them. I'm not familiar with Smile, have not casted them before. I'm ready to see what they're made of, because, oh boy, they're up against Firefly of all players. Firefly quickly becoming a hot topic here, a hot player in the scene. Over the past couple of years, he has been improving so much. And nowadays, I would say he is the best Protoss in all of China. I would say top 2 player in general, alongside Oliveira. Arguably top 1, the regionals of ESL Asia of EPT Spring, the regionals of EPT Spring have been ongoing over the past couple of weeks, and Firefly has been doing very well in those regionals, and I expect him to go even further. I expect him to go even further in that tournament. Yet to be determined. We'll see how the playoff bracket does play out. And Firefly, as always, poised to make a deep run in this week's ESL Open Cup, but we'll see how he compares to Smile. And of course, you can check out the bracket yourselves. We can go over the bracket after this series, and we can catch up on all the matches that are currently ongoing, all the players that are competing as well. There are some other English streams out there. I believe Wardy is also casting in English, and we have some other language streams like TKL, like Saber in Chinese, TKL, I believe, in French. So some other language casters are available if you want to catch another series. Otherwise, we can sink our teeth into this PvZ. For now, Adept just going to be moving out, threatening a shade. Alas, Queens are in position, Lings are in position as well, and we should be able to keep up, we should be able to hold on, and the Adept is zoned away. So far, so good. Behind this, we're getting into our tech of choice. Was a standard opener out of Firefly, just a gate expand into a Cybercore, into a Stargate opener. We have our first unit, it's an Oracle. Now, as we get into our game, as we talk about our players, Firefly is a player that does thrive in the mid game. He's not the late game kind of player. He's not known for his late game. He's not about early game cheese, but in the mid game, he can be very aggressive, very assertive, and he can catch you off guard. You're going into double Stargate, into Skytoss, Mass Phoenix, Mass Oracle, going into a Twilight Council, into Glaive Adepts. There's just a lot on the table here for Firefly. He can be a very unpredictable player, and we have seen Firefly take down some big names in the past. Players like Raynor, players like, I want to say even Cyril as well in WTL. Firefly, he's an animal. he's an absolute animal, absolute beast. We'll see what he can do. We'll see what he brings out. But now, though, Lings, they do get across the map. They get a surround on the Adepts. Very nice surround. The Adepts are caught out. The probe as well, and it looks like we could even try to force a cancel on that Nexus. The Oracle has to race home. The Oracle was halfway across the map, has to race home, and it will protect that base. But ooh, once again, the Lings, they almost catch another Adept. These are some very nice pickups here by Smile. To get 2 Adepts, to force in a warp in, to keep the Oracles back at home, very nicely done. But behind this, that is a fast Twilight Council. That is a very fast Twilight Council into very fast gateways as well. I'm curious, are we going into Glaive Adepts? I mentioned it before, that is an option. We could even go into, let's say we avoid, I mean, there is no Forge, we can go into Blink, we can avoid +1 and go into a 3-base all-in. That is something that we've seen from Firefly in the past. Could be into Charge as well. I'm leaning towards Blink or Glaives. We'll see what it's going to be. As Eurolord attempts to get a scout off, but alas, we see nothing. Blink is on the way, not Glaives. We have 4 gateways finishing up as we speak, and I'm waiting for a gateway explosion. I'm expecting more gateways. We'll see, though. We'll see what Firefly does end up working with. As Lings, they get eyes on additional Stalker Warbits, not on Adepts. Back at him, Smile, droning up, saturating his third base, getting a little bit supply blocked after losing that Overlord, so a little bit unfortunate there, but overall should be able to stabilize. We have 4 Overlords on the way, 4th base as well. When it comes to our take of choice, we have yet to really throw any down. As the Oracles dive into that mineral line, the Queens are able to keep up somewhat, minimizing losses. 1 drone gets picked off. All the Oracles getting very low. Oh god! Getting very low. 1 Oracle goes down. Big pick off there by Smile. The other Oracle barely does escape, going for a stasis here into the main base, and we have a delayed reaction. Ooh. I say delayed reaction just in time, actually. Only 1 drone gets caught. Honestly, I'm really impressed. I'm really impressed here by Smile. I mentioned before that I haven't casted Smile before. I'm unfamiliar with them as a player, but so far, pretty impressive stuff. Behind this, Hydroden's on the way. Okay, it is going to be Ling Hydra here out of our Zerg player. Ling Hydra, I imagine, towards Lurker Tech. This is amazing against Blink Stalker. Speaking of, Blink is finishing up, and we're pushing in. Again, Blink is done sooner, or a little bit sooner than normal. It is done earlier than the norm. Ling trying to get us around. The Stalker should be able to blink away. Now, the scary thing here is that there are no Oracles. Usually, these Stalkers would have 2 Oracles to support them. The Oracles, they can Pulsar Beam down Lings, they can avoid surrounds, they can throw down stasis traps. Oracles are just an amazing utility unit here for Protoss. Without any Oracles, Firefly, he has to be careful, he has to back off. He has to respect those Lings. Behind this is taking his 4th base. +1 is on the way. We're taking up into Storm. Okay. Storm, there's the gateway explosion. But again, the gateway explosion was delayed here. Firefly did push out earlier on because of that earlier blink timing, but wasn't able to achieve too much. And now is stuck at home. And yeah, we have a pretty interesting back and forth here between our players. Pretty interesting back and forth so far. The Lings, they do come in. Oh, they are spotted by the Stalker. Good reactions here by Firefly, shaving off a lot of Lings. A lot of Lings are going to go down. Behind this, 4th base getting up and running. Smile is saturating, he's droning. Behind this, we do have an Infestation Bin on the way, so he's not going for a Ling Hydra max out. He is working with Ling Hydra, but he's working towards Hive as well. It's going to be for Hive Tech, it's going to be for, I imagine, Lurkers and Vipers. So Smile working towards a later game. Firefly pulling back, waiting for Storm. Now, this is the big scary moment here. There's a big power spike for Protoss because Storm is finishing, and what do we have to defend? Light units. Purely Lings, Hydras. Do we even have a Bailey Nest? We do not have a Bailey Nest at all, so just Ling Hydra. And this army, it melts against Storms. And how many High Templar do we have? 6. Oh boy. Soon to be 8. That's a lot of High Templar. Now, we could morph some of them into Archons, but that's going to be a lot of Storms available. 8 Storms in total. Firefly is building up, waiting for charge. Lings try to dive in. Once again, they are shaved up. Good positioning there by Firefly. Good reaction as well. At the same time, just getting some revelations of Firefly is checking saturation, making sure that Smile is droning. There's that Hive on the way. There's the Lurker Den as well. We need Lurkers as soon as possible. Without Lurkers, how can we hold? How can we defend? The Lurkers are on the way. The Storms up into the middle line. The Storms are throwing down 11, 13 drones go down. Ay, ay, ay. 13 workers to 2 High Templar. Pretty good damage. And we still have 4 more with the main army. Here we go. Firefly is pushing forward. The Lurker Den is still not quite done with throwing down some Sky Tusk. We have 2 more Stargates. A Fleet Beacon on the way. The Sky Tusk transition is upon us. And Firefly, he's dipping onto creep, but as he pushes onto creep, big Ling run by. Alright, Smile going for a big Ling counterattack, and can he get anything done? We do force a warp in, but Firefly is in position. Does reinforce, turns back around, cleans up the Lings. Now, even though these Lings didn't get a lot of damage done, and they didn't, right? They weren't able to achieve too much, they at least buy time. Oh, big storm, oh my god, no! Massive storms. The Lings, they melt. They all go down, but it's worth it. They gave their lives here for the cause. The cause was the Lunker, Papi. Here we go. 10 Lurkers do finish up just in time for the push. So this push isn't as devastating as it otherwise would have been. We have Lurkers ready for this. We should be able to hold on, depending on the storms, depending on the engage. The Lurkers, they are in position. Big spine shots going off. shut down so many zealots here. Storms are looking okay. They do soften up those lurkers. Smiley's run up to 75. Another wave of lurkers has completed. Again, Smile, he is holding on. He's able to hold on. That Zealot Robot gets caught out as well. Now, what's scary here is that, yes, Smile, he's surviving. He's holding. He's holding his own. The problem right now, though, is... another storm does connect, and as Firefly tries to rotate around. The problem here is Skytoss. Tempest. We're making 3 Tempests at a time, and lurkers, they may be good against ground toss, but against Skytoss, it's an entirely different story here. Without Vipers, without a Spire, Smile is in trouble. He's able to deal with what he's seeing, but what about what comes next? Lings, they attempt to go for run by. They do get eyes on the Tempest. Big scouts. Big moment here for Smile. Immediately, Spire. Spire gets thrown down. But again, this Spire is late. It's delayed. We already have 6 Tempests. We already have 6 Tempests. The Spire, we need time. We need to somehow buy some time here. Delay the push for as long as we can. For that Spire to finish. Tempests, they have arrived. Good revelation on the Lurkers. Lurkers, they're being zoned away. And Firefly pushes forward. He's maxed out. Catch the Oracle. Oracle does get picked up. You can see the Tempest just having some free reign on the army. They take down a Lurker. And Smile, he just now is coming up with some Vipers, but he needs time to actually gather up energy. They're trying to dive on the army. Another Storm does zone him away. And we had 6, now we're up to 8 Tempests. We're going for a Nidus across the map. I mean, the Protoss army is immobile. That is true. It's a very slow army. We can try to take advantage of that. See Smile trying to dance here with the Skytoss. Lurker goes down. Big spine shots on the ground army. Oh my god. That was 3 High Templar and an Archon going down. Very nicely done. Nidus is finished, but there's nothing within it. And here come those Vipers. But what can they do? We don't have anti-air. We yoink the Mothership and we barely get the kill. Mothership goes down. We have 4 Hydras. The Viper gets sniped. Corruptors are barely coming out in time. Just barely. And we can clean this up. The army gets caught out. Firefly, where were the reinforcements? Where was the ground army? We get 1, we get 2, we get 3. 1 Tempest escapes. 1 Tempest makes it back. Look at the units tab here. We're down to 6, which is still a hefty amount of Tempest. That's a lot of High Templar. Jesus. It's going to be a lot of Storm. Speaking of big Storm here. Oh no! Big Storm of the Corruptors, and we sit in it. Not like this. The Corruptors, they melt. Aye. It was a good defense by Smile. He had a good showing here, but he stands. He just sits in the storms. He gets cleaned up. And now Firefly has momentum. Suddenly, Firefly is looking terrifying. That was 8 Corruptors killed. Not cheap. The Tempest going uncontested. The Corruptors that are left over, they're so low. We yoink 1 Tempest. Good pickup. Behind this, Firefly is on 84 workers, taking another base, taking a 5th base, and Smile is stuck on 4. Firefly, he's up at Nexus. He's double expanding, taking another base. Firefly with his map control. Able to just snowball out of control with his economy. It's getting out of hand. Again, Smile trading with the main army is not good enough. Not anymore. We have to get some economic damage done. The Smile stuck on 4 bases. He can barely remax. Can barely rebuild. More Tempest shots going off. Storm on the Hydras. And the Tempest just having their way with this army. These are 0-0 Corruptors as well. No air upgrades. Dive on the army. Big Storm. And Firefly, he can stand and fight. He can clean this up, and he will. Cleans up the Lurkers. GG gets cold, and Firefly will take game number 1. GG. GG, well played. Firefly does take the first game, But I'm not gonna lie, I was very impressed. I was very impressed by Smile. I mentioned before that I'm unfamiliar with him, right? Like, we cast here on a weekly basis, we cast every single day, we're typically very familiar with our own region. But Smile, this Zerg player from Hong Kong, is a player that I've not quite been able to cast before, so yeah, I'm pretty impressed. Did take a loss here in game 1, but was able to hold his own for quite some time. Had his own moments where he was able to shine as well. Again, I was especially very impressed with how he was able to be patient and tech up. Smile, I think that's maybe the best aspect of his play that we were able to see in that last game, was his patience, right? Was upon recognizing what was happening, recognizing that he needed to buy time for Lurkers, buy time for the Spire, buy time for Corruptors, for the Hive Tech, for Vipers, was able to just do such a great job at able to slow down his opponent and able to just ease his way back into getting into that higher form of tech. Eventually he was overwhelmed and did take a rough fight later on with all those storms, with losing his Corruptors, but overall, I was impressed. GG. GG, well played, and now we're getting into game number 2. And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Golden Aura, we have our Chinese Protoss player. The blue Protoss representing Offside, the favorite player in this series, but not having the easiest time in game 1. It is Firefly. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the red Zerg player representing Berserker Esports. Down to the series, can he bounce back? It is Smile. Oh. Here we go. You can see Firefly immediately getting across the map, forcing the unnatural natural out of Smile, forcing him to expand elsewhere as we ease into our openers. Nothing crazy, no proxies out of Firefly, no cheese. Standard openers for the time being, as there's no early gases from Smile either. Just catching up the chat. See, I just watched his B. His what? His B. Oh, okay. I'm happy that we were able to clarify that in the chat for everyone else. Beautiful. That's great. Strong Zerg lineup. There are some pretty good solid Zerg players this week, as there were last week as well. We'll get into it. After this series, we'll be able to have a look at have a gander at the brackets, and we'll go over the players, we'll go over the matchups. We can compare it to last week's as well. We'll get there. We'll get there. She was signed up. Easy way to be able to brag that I made top 32 of ESL Korea. Yeah, ESL Open Cup Asia is usually a little bit slimmer when it comes to signups. It has, the quantity is lower compared to Americas and Europe, but the quality is higher. That's the reality of it. It's like ESL Asia, like, you don't have the quantity, but you got the quality, papi. Oh my god, you have some insane matches early on, where you can have some GSL finalists or some of the best players in the world facing off in the round of 16 of all things. So it's very cutthroat. A very cutthroat tournament. And even here, like, I wasn't really expecting much out of this series, but again, I was pleasantly surprised here by the quality of game number 1, and now my expectations are even higher for game number 2. But now, Stargate opener from Firefly is going for a Stargate, is going to be getting into, I imagine, Oracles once again, and we'll see how Smile does adjust in this series. Remember last game, he skipped his Bailey Nest, he skipped his Roach Warren. Smile did go into a faster lair, and he went Ling Hydra. Smile did end up going Ling Hydra in the mid game. We'll see if he does adjust here, depending on what Firefly does as well. Adept is going to slip into the main base, getting one Ling. So far, not bad. Not a bad pick of one Ling, does get the hell out of there. Joining forces with the second Adept, and the Oracle is on the way. Oh, and Firefly is setting up a proxy location. Interesting. We may go for a Twilight Council before third base. We may just skip the third entirely and go for a 2-base all-in. That's what I'm feeling here from Firefly. Especially if Firefly believes that his opponent is going to skip the Roach Warren, this could be killer. This could be it. And speaking of, there it is. Ling Speed kicks in, we can shut down both Adepts, but there's the Twilight Council that we spoke about. No third base, we're throwing down the Twilight Council, proxy gateway across the map. It's going to be a 2-base all-in. And if Smile does not throw down either a Roach Warren or a Bailey Nest, if Smile doesn't realize what's going on, He's in a lot of trouble. Is in a lot of danger. There we go. More gateways being thrown down as we speak. That's going to be 6 gates in total. We may as well go up to 8. Oh boy. Proxy's being set up. I imagine this is going to be Glaives. That would make the most sense here. We're on 2 gases. Yep, there we go. Glaive Adepts is on the way. Makes sense. So very, very committed play here out of Firefly. Oracle gets in. This time we get 3 drone kills. If you remember in game 1, the Oracles struggled to get worker damage. This time, 4 drones, we get the hell out of there. Pretty good stuff there by Firefly. Much better damage this time. Back at home, we have additional pylons here to make sure we don't get supply blocked. Back at home, we have 4 gateways. The 5th gateway is proxied. We have not gone up to 6, not yet, not quite. And the Adepts are coming. They're amassing here outside of the base. Outside of the main bases of Smile. Back at home, we do have a Baneling Nest on the way. Thankfully, Smile, I mean, he sees no third. He does confirm with his Lings there is no third base. That is very suspect. Something is wrong. He throws down a Baneling Nest, but is it going to be enough? So Adepts, they have arrived. They threaten the shade towards the main base. Lings are keeping up for the most part. Well, we don't commit. Yeah, we're waiting for another warp in. Waiting for reinforcements. Ooh, Firefly supply blocked. Uh-oh. That's a big supply block. We missed a warp in. Did miss a warp in. Now we're going for the expansion. Now we're going for the Nexus. Ay. As Firefly finally does break free from that supply block, does threaten with more Adepts. But so far, this has not been worth it. So far, Smile keeping up with the Shades. You know, Firefly comes across some of these Banelings, does focus them down. Oh, but he's too close! The surround! We engulf the army. Banelings, they connect as well. We shut down a good half, a good chunk of those Adepts. And Smile's now going for his counterattack. Now, what is concerning is that Smile cut workers very early on. He's on 36 drones. He's down in economy, and now we have a counter all in. The turns have tabled now. Firefly, and now he's in trouble instead. It's going to be a Ling Bane all in from Smile. But Firefly, he has force fields, he has sentries, and he's throwing down a wall. A very good game sense. Firefly realizes how much trouble he's in, does throw down the wall. Smile does rotate around towards the right-hand side, shows the force fields. So far, so good. Banelings, oh, they're just completely zoned away. Banelings will not connect, but the Lings are doing a lot of damage. They're putting in some work. Shut down some of the Adepts. They get on top of the sentries. Overcharge is popped. But it looks like Smile may barely have enough. Takes down the shield battery. But we're running out of Lings. We're running out of steam. And Lings are being cleaned up. The third base, it stands strong. We killed 2 probes, only 2 workers. And now Smile's behind. Now Smile, he is behind. He's down to 40 workers. Throws down a Roach Warren, making more Lings. Going for another Bane bust. The pressure is on. Now, this is a little bit cavalier of Firefly. It's a little bit ambitious. He's assuming that the aggression has ended and he's moving out with the Adepts. But he does spot the Lings. He does spot them. So he's going to be turning back home. Behind this, the Bay is done. We're getting into Disruptor production. Lings, they hit the 3rd. They try to at least, but yeah, Firefly does hold strong. And behind this, Smile, he's desperately droning. He's desperately trying to drone up. He's on 45 workers against the 67 probes of Firefly. Firefly, he's fully saturated on 3 bases. He has a booming economy. And that's soon going to be translating here into an army. Blink, still not halfway done. I imagine we're going to be waiting for a Blink before we push. Waiting for Blink, waiting for Disruptors, maybe some Colossi thereafter. Lings, they do find the proxy. They will shut it down. Across the map, we're going for some Disruptor drops. Shows the Novas. Oh. Warping speed has kicked in. We go for the Novas. We go for the middle line. Ooh, big connections. 14 drones go down. And the Prism will escape. And just like that, Firefly does take an even bigger economic lead. Just making sure that Smile's economy stays crippled. Behind this, we have a Spire on the way. Interesting choice. I mean, there's potential with Mutas, but it's going to take so long for the Mutas to really come into play. We have 2 more drones. Firefly is getting up to 4 bases. We're still waiting for Blink. There we go. Blink is finishing. +1 is halfway done. We have Disruptors. I'm still waiting for Colossi. I feel like that'd be a really good way to round out this army. But Firefly's enjoying himself. Just going for non-stop drop play here. Getting some more drones. Ooh. Getting 5 more workers. Oh, is he paying attention? No! Firefly, a bit of miscontrol there, or a bit of a lapse in attention from Firefly. We'll lose the Disruptor. Was a little bit needless. But here comes the main army. And here we go. Here comes the death march here of Firefly. The death ball of an army has arrived. Nova goes up. Ooh, connects with Banelings and with Roaches. And we just don't really have an army. Across the map, we're trying to go for a run by GG gets called, and Firefly will take the series 2-0, advancing on to the next round. GG. Oh. GG, well played. Congratulations here to Firefly as he does take the series 2-0, advancing on to the next round. And again, Firefly, he was the favorite player. He was meant to win this series, but a shout out to Smile. I shout out to Smile here because, again, I'm unfamiliar with him as a player. I wasn't able to cast him. I've never casted them before in our time here at the CranKy Ducklings, so I was pleasantly surprised, and yeah, he did hold his own, especially in Game 1. I feel like Game 1 was the best showcase for Smile. Game 2 was a little bit more shaky and a little bit more chaotic, but Game 1, Smile, he was able to keep up and hold his own and have his own good moments as well. GG, well played. Hope to see more of Smile in the future, but regardless, Firefly will advance on, and now we can go over the brackets. We have some catching up to do. Exclamation mark B. Exclamation mark B in the chat if you guys want to have a look at the bracket yourselves. Huh. Sorry, just messaging some players, making sure we don't get left behind. Just making sure, and there we go, from the top. Okay, from the top. Do we have some updates? We do. We have Dark. Dark, he's been waiting in the round 16, waiting for his next opponent. Oriana takes down Fork 2-0. Again, Oriana did come in as a favorite player there, and Dark is up against Oriana in a ZVT to determine who faces off against Hero in the quarterfinals. Ooh, that's going to be a spicy series. Hero, speaking of, he already took down Cyan 2-0. I had the opportunity to jump into that series. I could have casted Hero versus Cyan first, but Firefly versus Smile, it was speaking to me, Papi. So we missed out on that. Hero, though, he advances on into the quarterfinals, waiting for either a Terran or a Zerg player in those quarterfinals. Going to be a very spicy matchup. Again, Dark and Hero, they face off every single week. They usually face off in the quarterfinals or the semifinals. Does happen very often. As scrolling down, we have our series. You can see here, I'll zoom out. There we go. Firefly versus Smile. We just wrapped up, and Firefly has advanced on to face off against Raynor in the round of 16. That is our next series. Firefly versus Raynor coming up next. This is going to be an interesting matchup, as I believe this is a rematch to a WTL series that they had quite some time ago. I'll look into that once we go over the rest of the bracket. Scrolling down a little bit further, we have Silky versus Jadong Oz. That's going to be a ZVP. Jadong Oz is a Protoss player, so that's going to be a ZVP. Silky's going to be favored there. The winner of that series goes up against Solar in the next round. Solar is going to be favored to at least make it to the quarterfinals to face up against either Firefly or Raynor. So a really stacked portion of the bracket. Most of the high or the top tier Zerg players are up here. As a reminder, Raynor is prone to playing Protoss against Zerg, and last week Raynor did play Protoss against Solar and even beat Solar with his Protoss as well. So that's something to discuss if that series were to come around in the quarterfinals. Scrolling down, we do have another series. Oh, big win. Classic 2-0 Shin. A very important win, I feel. If you've been following Classic recently, he's been having a really hard time. Classic, he's been struggling a lot as of late. dropping a lot of series in these online weekly tournaments to a lot of players early on, I should say, like in the round of 32, round of 16, quarterfinals. Classic has been having a really hard time getting deep runs as of late. And on top of that, I believe Classic did not qualify for GSL. I hope I'm not speaking out of turn there. Hold on. I hope I'm not misremembering. I'm quickly checking GSL, Wikipedia, 2024, Season 2, right? Yeah, Season 2 GSL qualifiers. We're going to be casting the GSL qualifiers tomorrow, but I did have a look at the at some of the players, and yeah, that's it. Classic did not make it. He did not qualify for GSL, which is crazy, by the way. There are actually a couple of players that failed to qualify for GSL. Classic is one of them. Considering how highly we rate Classic, considering that I would still stand by saying that Classic is the second best Protoss in Korea, and for Classic to not make it into GSL, that's a little bit heartbreaking. It's a little bit heartbreaking. If you look at the brackets, he had just some unfortunate bracket luck as well, and I mean, there's so many talented players in Korea. Like, even qualifying for GSL, it's a task in its own. It's a mountain to climb as well. It's a challenge, and yeah, Classic didn't make it into GSL, so it's a big win for him. A big win for him to 2-0 Shin. And I wish him the best. I do wish him the best moving forward, and I do hope that he's able to succeed a little bit more in these online events, considering that he won't have GSL to work towards. So I feel like that puts a lot more pressure on Classic to do well in WTL and in online weeklies and in Stars War 11 and all these other tournaments. I wish Classic the best. Scrolling up, Beyond versus Rewhite in the round of 16. Beyond is going to be favored there. Potential Beyond versus Classic in the quarterfinals. Looks like a spicy matchup as well. Scrolling down to the very bottom of the bracket, we just got an update. Nightmare took down Oliveira 2-0. Sorry, 2-1. Apologies. Nightmare took down Oliveira 2-1, and Nightmare advances on into the quarterfinals to face off against either Gumiho or Coffee. Let's go. And it looks like... Oh my god. It looks like the vetoes are done, and we're about to jump into Firefly versus Raynor. It is soon to be upon us. It's soon to start, so I'm just making sure that I don't... Whew, okay. I'm just making sure that I don't get left behind. We're good to go. But the other thing that I wanted to look up was WTL. Because I'm pretty sure that Firefly and Raynor faced off against each other. And I want to say that Firefly had taken maps off of Raynor, but I could be misremembering. Because Firefly took maps off of a lot of players. it was a lot, Pap. It was a lot. Just checking. Okay, so last season WTL, Firefly took maps off of Serral. That's it, not Raynor. Okay. I was confusing my Basilisk Zerg players. I was like, was it Serral or Raynor? I remember it was one of them. It was Serral. Okay. I mean, that still says a lot, right? That still says a lot about Firefly to be able to take maps off of Serral. Oh boy, that's not many can say that they've done that, but here we go. We're getting into our next series and spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Crimson Court. We have our red Protoss player representing Offside Esports. It is Firefly. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the blue Zerg player representing Basilisk, the Italian Zerg. It is Raynor. We go. Our ZVP is upon us again. Raynor, as of a couple of weeks ago, I want to say like 3 weeks ago, almost a month ago at this point, Raynor did end up moving to Korea. He's staying there for at least the end of GSL to compete in GSL, and has been competing in ESL Open Cups as well on a weekly basis, on a very regular basis. and has been having some pretty solid results. I think last week Reynor got second place, which is very impressive. He was able to go all the way and go up against Hero in the finals. Did fall to Hero in those finals, but regardless, it was really cool to see Reynor making a deep run in such a way. He did take down Solar, Dark, and was it Shin as well? I want to say 3 Zerg players. Rogue, that's it. Rogue, Solar, and Dark to make it to those finals. So yeah, Reynor showcasing his PvZ. Fun fact, Reynor did play Protoss against Rogue. He also played Protoss against Solar. He didn't play Protoss against Dark, but it was like a 10-minute series. Reynor, he 12-pooled, drone-pooled every game against Dark. And he 2-0'd, to be fair. He did 2-0 Dark last week in like 10 minutes. I think less than 10, sorry, it was like 7 minutes. It was like 3-minute games each. It was crazy. So, yeah, I'm excited to see the rematches specifically. You know, we'll see if Reynor faces off against Solar, Dark, Hero, any of them once again, 2 weeks in a row. To get there, though, he has to get past Firefly. For now, Reynor going for the unnatural natural, taking the forward base here on Crimson Court. Very interesting maneuver here out of Reynor, going for the Rich Vesting Gas Geyser. This base is honestly really good to start launching creep across the map and set up an all-in. As we are maybe thinking of that, Firefly goes for a Robo Opener. Very interesting. So Robo Openers can lead into a couple of different directions. They give you access to really fast Colossus and Disruptors. This could be a Disruptor drop opener. Gives you access to earlier Immortal production as well. It is typically considered like a much more passive opener, even though you can harass with a couple of units early on, like Disruptor drops or Colossus drops. You have less mobility than you would have with Blink, for example, or if you go for a Stargate opener into Oracles for like Vision, for harassment. You don't really have that option available to you. So I'm curious where this leads us. Ooh, early Immortal production. This looks like a 2-base all-in. This screams 2-base all-in. Oh my god, this looks like almost like a Soul Train setup. How many gateways? That's the question. Overlord is going to be zoned away. We have 1 more gateway, 2 more gateways in the main base, 3 in total. We should be going up to 4. And there it is. The 4th gateway has been thrown down, so it's going to be 4 gates. Now, with Immortal production this early on, we should be going into Sentries. I imagine this is going to be leading into Sentry production for something like a Soul Train, is to make use of the fact that sure, we may not have Blink or Charge or Glaives, but Force Fields are going to be ideal here with this all-in. Yep, more gateways are on the way. 2-base all-in, it's confirmed. 5 gates in total. Ay. That's a lot of gates. Sorry, 6 gates in total. 5 on the way. Now, behind this Reynor, he's been droning. He's going for his Roach Warren. That is an early Roach Warren. That was around, what, 3 minutes 45-ish Roach Warren timing. Very early on. Creep is spreading, as we mentioned. So how do these builds collide here? Because Firefly is going for a 2-base all-in. At the same time, Reynor, he's also being very aggressive himself. And Reynor, he's going to be cutting workers here at 38. He's massing Lings. Roach Warren's on the way as well. It's going to come down to the control. It's going to come down to the micro. Firefly is pushing. Lings, they do end up trying to catch one of these Stalkers. Oh! Hot pick up there by Firefly. Saves the Stalker. Does push forward. Here we go. Reinforcing wave of Zealots on the way. No sentries, by the way. It's going to be a slow lot all in. Oh my god. Last person I saw do this was, I think, Classic or a Hero, like, last week. But before that, it's been a while. I think it was Classic, by the way. So here we go. It's going to be a slow lot all in. We're getting on top of the Queens. The Immortals are going ham, but on Lings, not on Queens. Another miscontrol there from Firefly. We dive on top of that War Prism. The Prism, it's so close. It does not go down. The Prism survives. Zealots are going ham, chasing down those Queens. Running back. Again, the execution here getting a little bit messy for Firefly. Zealots are getting picked off. We're trying to get on top of those Queens. Yeah, we can target them down. Yeah, Queens are being zoned away. The Zealous gets around it. We're trying to go for another warp in, and can we get it off? It's going to be close. And it looks like we do finish the warp in, but the Prism goes down. No more reinforcements, no more juggling. We managed to bring down one of the Immortals. But Firefly, he was able to break through. He did a lot of damage, but is it enough? The Immortal goes down just barely again. If we had a War Prism, different game. If we had the War Prism, we could have kept going. We're trying to rebuild. But Reynor holds. Raynor, he holds. He's got an even drone count with his opponent. He may have lost all of his queens. Looking at the unit loss tab here, that was 6 queens going down, 10 drones, 55 lings. But we survive. And now Firefly's in a rough position. He's in a very rough position right now. Lost his immortals, failed the all-in. But he was so close to pulling this off again. If he was just able to keep that prism alive a little bit longer, or have better focus fighting with his immortals early on to get on top of the roaches and get on top of the queens. Again, it was just a very messy engagement, very messy all-in. And now Raynor, he's in the driver's seat. Now Raynor is looking comfortable. Looking very comfortable here. Taking the risk, testing gas geyser. Re-droning. And by the time Firefly moves out with more immortals, like, Raynor, he's going to have more than enough to defend. More than enough. He's only got 2 queens. We're going for some more stalkers. We're going to kill on 1. Do you get a kill on 1 there? You can see Firefly, it looks like he's setting up to expand. To take a 3rd. He desperately does need that 3rd base. As we do see Firefly just skirting in. Just trying to be as annoying as possible. Eventually expanding, and basically Firefly, I think I said Haas, because there was a discussion about Haas in the chat. But yes, the slow lot all-in is a Haas build from many years ago. And Easy Feel letting us know that, yes, it was Hero versus Raynor in game 1. That's it. That was the game that I was thinking of last week. But a very old school build that we haven't seen in a while, so it's cool to see that it's being risen in popularity as of late. But basically Firefly is trying to stabilize. It's trying to stabilize back into this, trying to take a 3rd base, turtle up, and get back into this game. And I mean, with 3 immortals, we're holding. We are able to hold on. But for those who are maybe unaware in the chat, I remember Haas making this build back in 2020. It may have been 2019, but I think it was 2020. It was in the COVID era of StarCraft. For those that remember those times. So it is a Haas original. But it kind of like, it had like its own era. It had its own like rise in popularity. Then it like drifted off into the ether. So it's really cool to see it come back in. Come back into fashion, I should say. As we're going for the immortal drop into the main base, trying to pick up whatever we can. We almost get the queen, not quite. As Raynor's able to keep up, zoning away that prism, minimizing losses. Now Firefly is at least getting this 3rd base up and running, but as he gets the 3rd, Raynor's getting a 4th. Queens are in position. Queens are in position. And Firefly is going to be pushing. Very interesting. Now behind this, he's still 2 base, essentially. Firefly, he hasn't actually made too many workers whatsoever, but he does have some force fields. Oh! He's out of sentry. Sentry goes down. Disruptors have arrived. Can this follow-up all-in work? How good of the them is going to be? We get 1 Hydra. We pick up a couple of units there. It's going to be 2 Novas. Now on cooldown. Our 3rd Disruptor has arrived. We jump up in towards that main base, or in towards that 3rd. Getting a couple of drones. Not bad. Not a bad position. And they're trying to come in from behind, trying to collapse on the army from behind. He's going for the full surround. Novas are going off. Has some okay connections, but nothing amazing. It looks like we have too much Zerg here. The Roach Hydra Ravager collapsing on the army. We take down the Prism. GG gets called, and Raynor will take game number 1. GG. GG, well played. Whew. Raynor able to survive the all-in, able to hold on, and again, Firefly was so close to breaking Raynor as well. It was a close all-in there to see Firefly breaking through the defensive line of Queens, getting on top of the mineral line, killing roaches. Again, things just got maybe a little bit too chaotic in that moment, and we saw that the Immortals, they weren't being as efficient as they could have been, and Raynor, he was able to capitalize on that, was able to barely hold on, barely survived, and take it from there. GG. GG, well played. With that, we're now getting ready for our second game. Game number 2. Oh boy. Here we go. We are getting ready for that second game, and really, as we load into this, my question is going to be, what kind of aggression does Firefly have ready for us in game number 2? As I mentioned before in the previous series, Firefly, he's very mid-game oriented, he's a very aggressive player, and this is what we expect to be seeing from him. 2 base all-ins, 3 base all-ins, like he thrives in the mid-game, and we've seen him take down some big names before. I mentioned that we've seen him even beat players like several in the past. So he is one that can pose a threat to Raynor. Raynor is still the favorite player, don't get me wrong, but Firefly can and has caused upsets in the past as well. Here we go. So we're getting into that second game, and we're spawning in to Oceanborn. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner, we have our Chinese Protoss player, the Red Protoss, representing Offside Esports down in this series. We'll see if he can bounce back. It is Firefly. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Italian Zerg player, the Blue Zerg, representing Basilisk. Leading the series 1-0, it is Raynor. Go. Here we go. As we load into Oceanborn, again, this map is quite an aggressive map as well. We've spoken about this before, but the third base location here is a lot more vulnerable compared to other maps, so we can make use of that. We've seen a lot of 3-base all-ins from Zerg players on this map with a lot of success, and Raynor, he's not afraid. He's actually willing to embrace that kind of side of him, that kind of style of Zerg. So we'll see who's going to be the aggressor here. As a reminder as well, I know we were focusing a lot on Firefly's 2-base all-in in game number 1, but as a reminder, Raynor was also going for his own aggression as well, which happened to coincide with the push of Firefly. So thankfully, Raynor, because of his early Roach Warren, he had Roaches out in time as well. He was planning to be aggressive himself. Was planning for it. From here, we're just going to be selling into our game. It's going to be a Hatch Gas Pool out of Raynor. Likewise, a Gate Expanded to Cybercore from Firefly. Nothing out of the norm yet, which we don't really expect to be seeing. Really, we're waiting for the Cybercore to finish, and we're waiting for our tech of choice. Is Firefly going to go for a Stargate, a Twilight Council, or even a Robo once again? I'm not really feeling a Robo-based opener from Firefly 2 games in a row, but we'll see. And maybe he could try to catch Raynor off guard by going for the same build. But there it is, we have our tech of choice. It is going to be the Stargate from Firefly. Okay. It's going to be a Stargate-based opener into Oracles, I imagine. We could go Void Ray first, which would make sense. Considering the strengths of Firefly, going for a Void Ray is a good way to just keep the Zerg player in the dark. To keep the follow-up tech hidden. We'll see. And then just shade out. Gets eyes on the third base at least. Is going to be checking saturation at the natural. but we shouldn't be committing to a shade, at least not with one adept. That one adept now going to be joined by another. With two adepts, we can one-shot drones. We can threaten the mineral line a lot harder now. And it's not going to be the Oracle or the Void Ray, it's going to be a Phoenix first. Now, this is a similar overall plan here, a goal for Firefly with this build. Just like how we mentioned how a Void Ray would shut down the Overlords and deny any kind of vision, Phoenix does the same. Phoenix does the same thing. We're going for these Overlords. We're hunting down any kind of detection or vision that Raynor has out on the map. Once the items are getting surrounded, a big overextension by Firefly. Does get caught out, does get surrounded. Now, the reason why Firefly did not kill this Overlord is because this Overlord is already dead. And the reality is the Overlord, it's already dead. We're going across the map instead, hoping to catch another Overlord. And it looks like we should... Oh! We do get one. Oh! We get one Overlord across the map. We barely escape with our lives, and now we can get the second Overlord for free. Essentially, this first Overlord that was here on this pillar, there was no way for it to escape. So it was already dead. It was already killed. So we're just making use of our time, getting across the map, trying to catch an extra Overlord. And we did. Did just barely. He's getting across the map. Threatening bases. Behind this, we're going not for a Twilight Council or a Forge. We're going for a Robo first. Very interesting. This looks very tech-heavy. Does look quite tech-heavy here for Firefly. What I mean by that is that going for a Robo first usually means we're going for a faster Robotics Bay into a second Robo, into Disruptors, into Colossi, into delayed Twilight Council tech. Speaking of, yep, there it is. There's the Forge. So it looks like Firefly is setting up for a longer game. Not aggressive, just defensive. Being more defensive in general, but we bleed out a Phoenix. Ay. Phoenix goes down. Back at home, we have an Immortal in production. I mean, we need anything we can. This is our army right now. 2 Adepts. 2 Adepts and an Oracle. Speaking of, the Oracle takes a lot of damage as well. Goes right through the center, right past all the queens. Does take a lot of hits. Ooh, and that's quite a gateway explosion, actually. 5 gates on the way. 6 in total, sorry. 7 in total. We're going to 7 gateways. We're going for sentries. Uh-oh. Remember how I was mentioning how this should be a little bit tech-heavy to go for a bay, second Robo. But no, we're building up a heavy sentry count. This looks like, yep, an all-in. It's a 2-base all-in. No probes. We're not saturating this third base. It's a fake third, essentially. It's only for show. And if Raynor sees this mineral line, and I think he did, he's throwing that spine crawlers. We need spine crawlers. We need to get ready here for the all-in. It is Immortal Sentry based. Let's go. But again, Raynor, he's cutting drones at 62. He's making roaches, making queens, making lings. I would love to see a second spine crawler as well. One way or another, the game is about to end. Either Firefly breaks Raynor or he dies trying. And again, the purpose of this build as well was to try to lure Raynor into false insecurity, make it look like he was teching, when he isn't, and he wasn't. Trying to deceive Raynor here. But Raynor, he's still not droning. He is making, or he does have a 4th, but that's only for Larva. Raynor, he didn't fall for it. He's ready for it. And even though this army is terrifying, even though there's a lot of potential with Firefly's army, Raynor, he's so prepared. So many Ravagers here as well to deal with those force fields. And it's all or nothing for Firefly. Pushing in from behind the Biles. Ooh, they take down the Prism. No more reinforcements, no juggling. No additional micro there. Decent force fields get thrown. Now we catch the queens. There are so many Biles lings. They come in from behind. They lock down the army. The Biles, they connect with the main army. GG gets called, and Raynor will take the series 2-0, advancing on into the next round. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations here to Raynor as he does take the series 2-0. Firefly had a very, very close game in game number 1, where he was almost able to break Raynor then and there. Game number 2, though, Raynor was a lot more comfortable. It looks like Raynor, with his link scouting, with his pressure at the third, he was able to confirm that there was no saturation, that it was a 2-base all-in, that it was a fake third base. And Raynor, he was so prepared for it, so ready for it. Really well done. Cutting workers, if you remember, he cut workers at 62. He got a 4th base just for Larva. He did take his gases at the 3rd, and he was able to just amass his Ravagers, amass his Lings, and get a full surround. GG. GG, well played. The kind of nail in the coffin there was that Raynor, he had a hit squad of Ravagers. He had 3 Ravagers peeled off on the right-hand side. Their goal, only to snipe that Warp Prism. They dipped in, sniped the Prism, got out of there. GG. You know, that just took so much of the threat out of the army there of Firefly, getting rid of that Warp Prism. Really well done. Really solid execution there. And with that, we're getting into our next series. We're following Raynor into the next round. !B in the chat if you guys want to have a look at the back of yourselves. Let's go. Let us go. Sorry, I just have to refresh this as well. Just need to refresh that bracket. From the top, we have Dark taking down Oriana 2-0, and Dark is up against Hero in Dark is up against Hero in the quarterfinals. Oh boy, that's going to be a killer ZVP. I do look forward to it. And I'm a little bit envious. Basically, we had to choose. We had to pick Dark versus Hero or Raynor versus Solar. One ZVP or the other ZVP. That was the choice that I had to make at the start of the tournament. We opted to go for Raynor instead, just because, again, Raynor, he's a rarity here in ESL Asia. So, I did want to try to cover him while we could. This 2-1 score is wrong. It's going to be fixed. It was accidentally misreported in the chat. So, it is going to be a 2-0 here momentarily. And again, Raynor is up against Solar, and I didn't misspeak. The reason why I mentioned a ZVP is because this is a rematch. It's a rematch to last week's ESL Open Cup Asia. Raynor did play against Solar, and it was a best of 3, went all the way to the ace match, and Raynor, 2 out of those 3 games, Raynor played Protoss. Raynor, he won a game with Protoss, lost the game with Protoss, then he played Zerg in the ace match. He was forced into Zerg after he lost with his Protoss. I would not be surprised if the same thing happens here. I would not be surprised if once again Raynor decides to roll Protoss first and only play Zerg if he loses. That's we'll see though. We'll see. We'll see what Raynor has in store for us. We'll see what he has planned. That is my assumption. My assumption. Just catching up with the chat. Strange has a similar build where he pulls probes to the 3rd and warps in units in the main, so much harder to scout. I see, yeah. Yeah, we have seen some players do that deviation, right, where you maynard workers to your 3rd base to make it look like you're probing when you're not, just to make it more difficult to scout. I've seen that in the past. Raynor hit squad. It was impressive. It was impressive. Not transferring probes to the 3rd is laziness and got punished. It is something that you should probably be doing here in this kind of all-in, right? Just to mask it even further. It isn't a secure way to mask it, right? Like, your opponents could still confirm and scout and get eyes on the army and prepare. But again, because there was no saturation at the 3rd, it did make it easier to scout the all-in. And, you know, it's a bit of a PSA as well for the people out there in the chat. Keep an eye on the drone count of your opponent, the worker counts of your opponent. Keep an eye out for those all-ins. As we are getting ready for our next series, vetoes are currently underway between Raynor and Solar. Vetoes are underway, and I should probably message some players, actually. I should, I'm going to be messaging some players, and it looks like we need a little bit of time here. Oh. think I'm gonna... Never mind. Looks like we need a little bit of time for our videos to get underway. Once they do, we're going to be jumping into Rainer versus Solar. So we're going to be going on a short break. Going to be going on a short break. When we return, we have our next series. We'll have our quarterfinals, followed by the semis, followed by the grand finals. Actually, do we have any other updates? My apologies. Let's quickly check here. I kind of stopped at the halfway mark. I'm like, yeah, this is our tournament. This is what we focus on. Scrolling down, okay. Scrolling down, we have Björn versus Classic in the quarterfinals. Let's go. It's going to be a TVP. I believe that's being casted by TKL and Saber. TKL is a French caster. Saber is a Chinese caster. I believe they're covering that, so pretty killer TVP. Scrolling down, Nightmare takes down Oliveira 2-1. Gumiho takes down Coffee 2-1. I glossed over it before, but Coffee did eliminate Rogue from the tournament. Big win there for Coffee. Rogue has been looking very impressive as of late. So for Coffee to 2-1 Rogue and for Coffee to take a game off of Gumiho, I don't think this is I wouldn't say that this is like Rogue still struggling to keep up. I would more so say that Coffee's being very impressive and he's been looking really strong recently. So for Coffee to 2-1 Rogue and to take a game off of Gumiho, really impressive stuff. You know, Coffee, he is a force to be reckoned with. He's a player to respect, and yeah, Coffee can even take down players, the best of them out there in Korea. So really impressive run there by Coffee. Is eliminated, unfortunately, but a good run nonetheless. Nightmare vs Gumiho currently ongoing there in the lower quarterfinals. So Beyond vs Classic is being covered by TKL and Saber. Nightmare and Gumiho, I believe that's being casted by Biomorph. I'm not sure where Wardy is. I'm not sure where Wardy is. I think he was casting Dark versus Hero. Speaking of, we just got some results. Dark versus Hero has wrapped up, and Dark has taken down Hero 2-0. GG, Papi. Oh my god, very impressive. Hero, I mentioned before, Hero is last week's ESL Open Cup Asia champion, and for Dark to bring Hero down, very impressive stuff. GG, well played. Dark advances on to the semifinals. Dark is waiting for the winner of this very series. And you can hear the beeps. We're loading on in. It's a ZVZ. Ah, it's a ZVZ, Papi. Let's go. He's not playing Protoss. Rainer is not playing Protoss. Letting the people know in the chat, and here we go, spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of the quarterfinals of ESL Open Cup Asia number 224. We have the South Korean Zerg player, the blue Zerg representing Team Vitality. It is Solar. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the red Zerg player representing Basilisk. It is Rainer. Actually playing his main race. Let's go. Let's go, Papi. Let's go. So if you weren't here last week, I was concerned because Rainer did play a lot of Protoss last week in last week's Open Cup Asia. And to be fair, he did beat Solar with Protoss, so I was expecting another PvZ, but no, Rainer is going for his main race, going for a hatch first. Likewise, so is Solar. Mirrored builds for the time being. Let's go. Hatch gas pool out of Rainer. Soon to be a hatch gas pool out of Solar. Loading into Crimson Court. Crimson Court is going to be an interesting one for this matchup just because some of these fringe bases are a lot more difficult to gain access to, a lot more secure if we do expand in these locations. We could try to rush into the center base, but I imagine it's going to be so vulnerable here, especially in the Ling Bane phase of CVZ. So I'm curious how our Zerg players will approach this. Again, both Rainer and Solar are very aggressive in this matchup. Solar, he was dubbed the Serral Slayer not too long ago, if you remember, in that season of WTL, where Solar was like the answer to Serral, the only player to bring him down. That was 2 seasons ago in WTL. So Solar, he has some killer ZVZ. But I know that Rainer is feeling confident in his Zerg as well. Leading into IEM Katowice, he was very confident in his Zerg versus Zerg. So we'll see how it all comes together. And at least this time we're not seeing like a 12-pool drone rush, thankfully. A 12-pool drone pool. Which is also what we saw last week at Arena. As for now, we're just settling into our game. We're going to be droning up, saturating our bases. We have a handful of links on the way just to scout, just to get a read on what's going on. No major deviation yet. We're easing our way in. So from here, we should be... Oh, as Raynor does hit first, does shoot first. Solo has to back up, has to respect the army. Third base is being taken as we speak. Interesting, we are indeed taking these forward third bases. Okay. Bailey nests are on the way, and the question becomes, can we actually hold on to these center bases? There's that Bailey nest from Raynor. We should be seeing one from Solar momentarily. Oh, he's skipping the... Okay, bold move out of Solar. He skips the Bailey nest, going straight to Roaches instead. So Raynor, there's going to be a window. There's going to be a window where Raynor has Ling Bane and Solar only has Lings to defend. There's an opportunity. There's a big opportunity here for Raynor once he realizes what's going on. As he has yet to confirm the tech. Doesn't know what's happening. We have some Lings on the way. Lings are in production for both players. Overlords being zoned back. It looks like Raynor is only making safety Banelings here on this side of the map. Dancing with the army. Yeah, Solar feigning aggression here. Going for the queen. Oh, trying to get on top of that queen, but the Banelings have finished up. We do zone him away. Roaches are in production, by the way. Roaches are in production. And Solar, he's getting away with it. Banelings are pushing forward. We're zoning Solar back, but here come those Roaches just in time. And the hatchery's under fire, but the Roaches, they arrive. They do make it here to the base, and we do hold. And Solar, he cut workers a little bit early on. He cut workers at 30. He's sending it. He's committed. Solar is committed with Ling Roach. And Raynor, can he defend? No Spine Crawler, only 2 queens. And we're going to deny mining here at the third base. And we don't just want the third. We could even go further than that. Yeah, we're going for the queens. We're trying to dive on those queens, and it looks like, oh, we barely don't get them. The queens, they do escape. Instead, we're settling for the third. Yeah, Lings are rushing in. Bailey's a little bit too far back. Good target firing at a Solar. He gets 1, he gets 2, he gets 3, and he gets all 4 Banelings. No Banelings left. We get a full surround as well. We collapse on the Roaches, on the queens. And that Roach lead from Solar, it's getting out of hand, it's getting out of control. Solar breaks on through, and there's almost nothing left. We're down to 2 Roaches left here for Raynor. You can see how hard the pendulum does swing once the Roaches hit the field. And we're getting into the mineral line. GG gets called. Raynor is broken, and Solar takes game number 1. GG. GG, well played. Again, Raynor, he did have like an opportunity to be aggressive with Ling Bane against Solar, but he didn't know he had it. He didn't know that he could have potentially been aggressive there, so he was stuck on the back foot. He was stuck being a little bit more defensive, a little bit more passive, and with that, he wasn't able to punish Solar. Solar, he got away with his Roaches, and with that faster Roach tech, Raynor was caught with his pants down. He was caught with his pants down. GG, Solar does take a lead in this series, and he is 1 game away from advancing on into the semifinals. Oh boy, here we go. 1 more game is all Solar needs, and Raynor, he's up against the wall, and Raynor, he does not switch to Protoss. I can confirm we're sticking with Zerg. I do like this, to be honest. I like this because, at least in my mind, I like the idea of using these ESL Open Cups as a way to practice. Of course, I mean, there's money on the line, but as a way to practice and work on our matchups. And again, I do think that sometimes relying on off racing against Zerg is maybe not the best way to approach things. So we'll see. We'll see if we can bounce back. As spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Site Delta, we have our blue Zerg player representing Team Vitality, one game away from advancing on into the semifinals. It is Solar. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the red Zerg player representing Basilisk. Down in the series, can he bounce back? It is Raynor. Winding it back to the last game, shout out to Solar and his execution as well. His target firing with his roaches to be able to focus down every single Baneling before they could even connect. Without those Banelings, there was nothing stopping the Lings. Without stopping the Lings, there was nothing stopping the flood of Solar just snowballing out of control, collapsing on Raynor. Just a really tense moment there, a really tense game. And now we find ourselves in game 2. Once again, Hatchcast pool. Standard openers here for both players. For both Raynor and Solar. Again, it wasn't just the execution, but also the fact that Solar, he did go for an all-in with 30 drones, and Raynor did saturate his bases a little bit more. He went up to 35, even took the gas at his center base, the exposed third, which meant that he had to fight out in the open. He had to fight out at the third, and again, it was a losing battle there. He was caught out in the open with his pants down. Exposed, that, yeah. But I'm sure we're going to be seeing something quite different here in game 2. We'll keep an eye on any earlier Roach Warrens once again. Keep an eye on any early Roach Warrens or any early tech. Seems that only Zerg can beat Zerg. I mean, I guess that's not the case. As a reminder, Raynor did beat Solar with his Protoss last week, which is what I was referring to. But yeah, sorry, if I didn't make myself clear, I was trying to say that I like the idea of Raynor this time not relying on his Protoss, just because I do think that Raynor improving with his ZVZ and gaining confidence in his ZVZ is going to be pretty important, especially when it comes to competing in GSL, playing against players like Dark, Solar, competing against even Serral, you know, when he goes back and competes in DreamHack Dallas. I do think that ZVZ is a matchup that Raynor does need to work on. How did I press? There we go. I was like, what have I done? I don't usually look at the units killed. Okay. It was like Control R or something. Anyway, here we go. We do have our third bases on the way for both Raynor and Solar. We're getting into our third bases. This time, no one has skipped their Baneliness, but once again, Solar going for a hidden Roach Warren in the main base behind the mineral line. Oh boy, Solar once again going for a Roach Rush. And Raynor does not know. Raynor's in the dark. This time, Raynor, he's amassing more Ling Bane, so he does have a bit of a larger force to work with here, but no early Roach Warren of his own. He still has yet to determine what exactly Solar's up to, and Raynor, he's droning. He is droning up, and Solar, he's amassing Roaches. As we speak, he's just building up that Roach count, and he's going for another all-in. Uh-oh. We're going for another all-in, and Raynor still has yet to piece it together. Raynor still making another wave of drones. This is okay as long as he cuts workers now. He has a Roach Warren on the way. Raynor, he does hit the third, but the Roaches are revealed. Now he knows. Now he knows what's been going on. That's going to be a kill on the third base. That will impact the larva. That will impact the production here of Solar. And we're throwing out Spine Crawlers. Spine Crawlers are on the way. Raynor, he now realizes how much danger he's in. But is it too late? Is it too little too late? Lings, they flood into the natural base. We collapse here on top of the would-be Spine Crawler. It's going to be killed. The Baneling. Baneling zones Raynor away as well. He just can't engage. Raynor, he cannot engage. He's being zoned away. The natural base has been compromised. We have broken through, and here come the Roaches. And we're going to be able to camp the production. Yeah, we camp the natural base. We don't want to waste the Banelings. We don't want to waste them. Roach reinforcements are coming in for Raynor. Can he somehow survive this? Can he hold on? Boys are being pulled. Banelings are on the way. Good target firing out of Raynor. On the Baneling! No! Big connection to the mineral line. Massive connection, and we have broken through. And with that, that may just be it. That may be too much. Solar getting his revenge from last week. He may have lost to Rainer's Protoss, but hey, he's here. He's back against his Zerg. Boys are being pulled. And so much damage being done. GG gets called. Solar, he does it. He does take the series 2-0, advancing on to the semi-finals. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations here to Solar. My condolences to Rainer, as the turns do table a very intense series, a very hectic ZVZ between the two players. Solar with different variations of all-in. Bear that in mind. Solar, he had a third base. He did show the Baneliness as well. He did a great job there at just hiding his tech, hiding his would-be all-in, and keeping Rainer in the dark. Rainer had no idea what was happening until it was too late. By the time when Rainer hit the third, when he killed the third, that's when he realized. That's when he saw all the roaches. And again, by then, the realization was too late. Late Roach Warren, I say late Roach Warren. The Roach Warren was thrown down later just because we didn't know we needed it earlier. Same with the Spine Crawlers, we just were not prepared for that all-in. And Rainer gets caught out. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations, Solar advances on. And we already have his next opponent. We have his opponent ready and waiting. It's going to be Solar versus Dark in a ZVZ. Let's go. The ZVZs, they continue, Bobby. They continue. And Solar, he gets his revenge. I mentioned before, but last week, Rainer, he eliminated both Solar and Dark from the tournament from ESL Open Cup Asia. This week, they both advanced on to the semifinals. They both have been able to have a bit of a deeper run here, and one of them is confirmed for the grand finals. One of them is confirmed for those finals. Who's it going to be? Dark or Solar? Dark or Solar? Up to you to decide. We're going to be opening up predictions. Predictions will soon be open here for our next series for the semifinals to determine who will advance on to those grand finals. It's going to be a Zerg player, but which one? Which one exactly? It's going to be difficult to call. Solar, he has some of the best ZVZ in the world. That is true. But at the same time, Dark is also a very unpredictable player in ZVZ. It's going to be wild. Mirror matchups in general, they can be difficult to call. They can be difficult to call. And I just need to slip into some DMs and make sure I don't get left behind. And we can have a look at the bracket as well. I say have a look at the bracket. It looks like there aren't any updates. It looks like Beyond vs. Classic is still ongoing, and Nightmare vs. Gumiho is still ongoing as well. So no updates in the lower half of the bracket. What this means is that we will most likely be able to cast both semifinals, both the upper and lower semifinals. We should be able to cover them here on the channel. We are lucky enough, fortunate enough to be able to cast both. Until then, though, we're going to be going on a short break. Going to be going on a very short break here. When we return, we will have our next series, our semifinals. Take this moment to hydrate your Hydras, drain your Disruptors, massage your Marines, tuck in your Tempest, cuddle your Colossus, and we'll be back soon with our next series. And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. Ooh, hope you enjoyed that lovely Brutal OST as we have returned with our semifinals. With the semifinals of ESL Open Cup Asia 224. And if you're in the chat, predictions are open. Place your bets. Place your bets on who you believe will be the first to advance on to those grand finals. Will it be one Korean Zerg or the other? Up to you to decide. Up to you to place those bets. Best of luck, man. Best of luck. Predictions open. As spawning in the top left-hand corner of side Delta, we have our red Zerg player from South Korea representing Talon Esports. It is Dark. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Zerg player, the blue Zerg representing Team Vitality. It is Solar. Here we go. Solar versus Dark, arguably the top two Zerg players in South Korea. Yeah, I think I would stand by that. The top two Zergs. Dark is number 1, Solar is number 2. I would say Shin number 3, maybe DRG number 4. So I would currently rank them. But yeah, they're the top two Zerg players in their respective region. And I would not be surprised if this goes to the ace match. I would not be surprised if this goes all the way to game number 3. Things are going to get wild between these two players. And yeah, I've yet to even try and predict how this series will unfold. We saw that Solar was very aggressive against Raynor. He was very aggressive and very all-in. I feel like the dynamic is going to shift against Dark. I feel like in this series, Dark is going to be the aggressor and Solar's going to have to be reacting instead, trying to keep up with what Dark has to present to him. We'll see though. We'll see how or who's going to be the aggressor, if not both. And then we end up in a clown fiesta. Like that's that's the ideal. It's going to be the ideal. For now, hatch gas full from both players. Nothing crazy when it comes to the openers. We're loading into side Delta, a bit of a more defendable map, as we have a ramp leading into the natural, a bit of a feature that isn't in all maps, as it used to be. So a little bit more defendable, easier to wall off, but based on our openers, we should both be working towards our expansions. Both Solar and Dark should be working towards their third bases. Lings are moving out. Likewise, drones are also getting in position to expand. And so far, nice control here, Dark. Oh my god! Does come out better there. Does chase Solar back. Almost getting a Ling kill. Almost. Oh! Dark has to back off as well. Bit of a give and take. Maybe the nest has been thrown down for Dark. Has been thrown down. Likewise, so is Solar's. We have our third bases on the way. So far, mirrored builds between our players. Everything looking very standard so far. So far, so good. Likewise, we can see Solar trying to peel off some Lings, trying to get a scout off. Dark able to keep up, able to zone him away. Keeping Solar in the dark. And behind this, we should just be droning, looking to saturate our third base, getting into some safety banelings. Really, my eyes are on the production tab to see if we invest into additional Lings. Ooh, as both Solar and Dark, there we go. Roach Warrens are thrown down at standard timings here just before the 4-minute mark. Looks like we're easing off of Ling Bane and we're getting into Roach versus Roach. Okay. As I say that, maybe I spoke too soon. That's 16 Lings on the way. Dark. My god. So we're just going to be flooding Lings across the map here. I imagine to try to break that third base. Solar pulling back. The Roach Warren is done, and Dark, he is moving out. Now he's running up behind this. He's not all in. A couple of Lings, they do slip into the main. Get a full scout, confirming any additional gases, confirming the lair timing. But Solar is in position with his Banelings. Ooh, as Dark's gonna be morphing in Banelings into the main base. Bold move. He's crazy. Bold move here by Dark, and Solar, he does end up catching these drones. Oh, sorry, these Banelings. Does catch them. One of them goes down. Dark, he collapses into the third base. Ooh. Gets one drone, I believe, but only one. Pulls back. And Solar defends. Solar, he defends. He gets away with his roaches. Going to be pushing Dark back. So far, so good here by Solar. Across the map, Solar going for his own counter. Bailings! Let's go, we waddle in, and Dark, does he pay attention? Does he recognize it? He does not. Pulls away just in time. 2 drones go down. That could have been so much worse. Phew. Dark also defends. The drones are quite low, but they're going to be able to regenerate their HP. Gonna be okay. For now. As Dark, he did invest into quite a lot of links, so he has a lot of catching up to do. He's droning up. Solar diving into the main, gets one more drone. Barely focuses down one of those drones. As they didn't know they were weakened up, they were softened up from earlier. And now the game is going to calm down. After that moment of intensity, we are going to be calming things down, taking our gases, getting into +1 range, into roach speed as well. Layer is done for both players. And we are indeed getting into Roach v Roach. Now, Dark did go into faster Overlord speed. As we can see here, with that faster speed, he's going to be getting another scout off. Very important for this Overseer scout, because for all he knows, it could be a lair. There could be a lair, there could be an infestation pit, it could be a Hydra Den, there could be a higher form of tech. So both players being as attentive as they can be, scouting each other, making sure that it is indeed Roach v Roach. On top of that, with with Overlord speed, Dropperlords. Dropperlords are also on the way. Ooh, that's going to be Bailings. Okay, we have a Bailing drop on the right-hand side. We have a Roach drop on the left. I believe the Overseer did get eyes on the Overlord, or the Dropperlord. Yeah, Solar, he sees, he knows. And he's going for his own Dropperlord harass as well. Okay. The era of, I guess, Bailings has come and gone, so Dark is going to be knocking that down to make it a little bit easier to rotate between spaces. Overlord tries to go in, but it is focused down. Good positioning there by Solar. Dark has got one more Dropperlord, poised to go into the main. Meanwhile, Solar doing the same. Diving into the main base as well. Dark actually pivoting away into the third. Roaches are dropped. We're going to be able to focus down a couple of drones. We get one, we get two. 2 drones go down. At the same time, Solar, he's in the main base. Is in the main. No reaction here to Dark, or delayed reaction. We can pop off. And pop off here. Here we go. The roaches, they do activate. They head into the main. Drones are going down. Dark has to back off. Solar was in position. And Solar, he's wreaking havoc, getting a lot of drone kills. 5 drones go down. We save every single roach we pick up. We get the hell out of there. And here comes the main army of Solar. Pulling back for a moment. Shutting down that Dropperlord. Solar, he defends, he attacks. And he's knocking down these rocks, getting ready. He's maxed out. Again, there's a reason why Solar, he has some of the best ZVZ in the world. There's a reason why he was dubbed the Sterile Slayer. For a long time, he was like the only one to reliably defeat and knock down Sterile in premier events. That was last year, for those who weren't here for it. Here we go, Solar trying to force his way in. Does get a better angle here on top of the high ground, on top of the ramp. The Vials, though. Vials do force Solar back. But with reinforcements, Solar, does he have enough? Oh, he barely does not. Well, has to back off. Darky holds. At the same time, a Roach counterattack getting on top of the 4th base. Very nicely done. That does delay reinforcements. The tunneling course is done here for both players. Dark forcing Solar to turn around. At the same time, Solar also diving in towards that natural. But it looks like Dark has eyes on this. Yeah, he did see those roaches earlier. Chasing them down. Yeah, Overseer's on the way in. Yeah, these roaches, they do not manage to escape the eyes of Dark. He sees everything. Shuts them down. Infestation Bit's on the way. Dark and Solar getting up to 4 base saturation. With that Infestation Bit, that's going to be the start of Hive Tech for Hydras and Lurkers. We're getting ready for the late game of ZVZ. Right now, Roach v Roach is kind of dominating this matchup, but soon it's going to be about the lurkers. I mean, I say soon, we're working towards it. Speaking of, there's that Hydra Den. Again, Darky's getting ready for a lurker switch. For a lurker transition. He's thinking about it. Same time, does on burrow in the 4th base. Drones are going down. Likewise, Solo also in the 4th base of Dark, but Dark is in position. Dark, he was ready for the harassment, ready for the roaches. Solo was not. So a much better trade there for Dark. Getting how many? 4 roach kills. Or even, sorry, 9 roach kills. Losing 4 across the map. Losing 5. 6. Bleeds out a couple of roaches. Interesting. So as Dark is getting ready for lurker tech, Solar is going for a Spire. Going for Mutas instead. Oh, I'm not so fond of that. Mutas are really good in Roach v Roach, but it's too late. Because the Hydra Den is done, Dark already has access to anti-air. And there's that Lurker Den. Lurker Den is on the way. And Dark, with the non-stop harassment, he gets a kill. Gets a kill on the 4. Shuts down the hatchery. He's pulling Solar apart. And when it comes to the late game, in ZVZ Dark, he has some of the best late game ZVZ in the world. I would say top 2 alongside several. We're getting there. And just pulling Solar apart. Spinecrawler goes down. Drones as well. We have detection. The burrow doesn't save them. Only a handful do survive. And Solar, as he's getting into his 12 mutas, we already have Hydras coming out. Spores are being thrown down, looking at our vision. Dark, yeah, he saw the Spire. He knows. He's getting ready for it. And Dark, he just has the better army. Just has a superior army. And the problem is that Solar, he hasn't been able to know. My apologies, he does know. He has the drop load in the main base. He does see the tech. He's going to be relying so much on these mutas. Solar rotating around. Lurkers are in production. Dark is supply blocked. It's going to get supply block for a moment. Quite a supply block, actually. Yeah, but Lurkers are getting in position. Yeah, the ground army is going to be stopped. These mutas, they have done quite well for themselves, picking up overlords, roaches here and there. No economic damage yet. And you can see that Solar, he's remaxing on more Roach Ravager. So his goal is to try to break Dark before the Lurker count gets out of hand. With a low Lurker count, Ravagers can deal with them. You can bile them down, you can force the unburrow. Like, Solar has a chance before we hit critical mass, and there we go, 1 Lurker goes down. They do bleed out a lot. Another Lurker gets picked up. Good biles there from Solar. Does have to pull back. At the same time, oh, we throw away the mutas. Aye. We dip in between the bases. That's what I was worried about. We had plenty of Hydras. Looking at the units tab, 0 mutas remain. That was how many? 12 mutas. That was expensive. Mutas are not cheap. So 12 mutas go down for only a handful of roaches and overlords. I was praising the muta harass earlier, but I was assuming they would get even more done. That was not the case. As you can see, Solo trying to force his way in. Gets another lurker. He is zoning the army away. 1, 2, 3 lurkers go down. Very nicely done, but there's still 1 more lurker behind this. Files are connecting. Solar, he's pushing through. He's barely pushing through. There's still 1 lurker left. Does reposition. And Solar does have that supply lead, but more lurkers, they barely morph in. They have arrived. And with these lurkers, we do barely hold on. GG gets called. Dark, he survives, he holds, and he takes game number 1. GG. GG, well played. Whew. Dark will take game number 1. And with that, does take a lead in the series, and we're getting ready for game number 2. Let's go. That wasn't a short break. It was an even shorter break. I call shenanigans. Oh, no. So was Season Several +1 armor, Roachling all-ins. It wasn't just that, if you remember, because it was Solar versus Serral at not just the Premier events, but in WTL as well. In WTL. And it was all-ins, but it wasn't just a +1 armor, Ling Roach all-in. If you do remember. But it was mainly aggression, and it was mainly different variations of all-in that just kept catching Serral off guard. I remember there was even one, I remember it was in WTL, where Solar faked an all-in and Serral overreacted, and Solar just macroed. that also happened quite a lot as well. Good times, as we're settling into our next game and spawning. Oh my god, spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Crimson Court, going for a 12 pool. We have the South Korean Zerg player, the Red Zerg, representing Talon Esports, leading the series 1-0, going for a 12 pool. It is Dark. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have his opponent, we have the Blue Zerg player, representing Team Vitality. It is Solar. It has nothing in common, I think it means, he has nothing in common with Solar, not so good mid-game to late-game player. I would say that Solar thrives in the mid-game more than anything, is what I would say, but Dark, he thrives even more in the late game. Again, like Dark, he has some insane late-game ZVZ, even was able to flex that against Raynor 2 weeks ago. But for now, it is a 12 pool. Now, this is not an all-in. This is not the 12 pool variation that Raynor did do last week. If you remember, Raynor, he just 12 pooled every game against Dark and killed him with a 12 pool drone pool. This is just a regular, more macro-oriented 12 pool. So the way this works is that Dark should be droning after this wave of Lings. Should be macroing and saturating his bases. These Lings, as they move out across the map, their goal is to get some drone kills. Their goal is to try to out-micro Solar. Now, Solar needs to save this hatchery. This hatchery cannot be killed. Solar has to pull the boys, pull down here towards the low ground, and drone drill his heart out and try to save as many drones as possible while he defends. Hatchery's under fire. Boys are being pulled. And again, in this defense, Solar cannot lose drones, or he has to minimize drone losses. We have our little dance. Have our micro battle here between Dark and Solar. Good stutter stepping out of Dark. Oh my god, getting so much damage onto the hatchery. The hatchery, it's gonna go down. It's so low. It is so very low, opting to go for the hatchery. He commits. He commits, and can he get it? Oh, it's gonna be close. And it looks like he barely does get a kill. The hatchery goes down. Big pick off. And so much lost mine time. Such a big commitment there by Solar. He does not save his base. But now it's time to counterattack. Now the turns have tabled. Dark, he has to defend, he has to survive, and Solar has to get some damage done. And again, Dark, he chose not to go for drone kills. He was very meticulous in his control there. Very nice stutter stepping out of Dark. Did focus on the hatchery. Back at home, he's got a queen. He's got 2 queens. He's fine. He's perfectly fine. With 2 queens, we can defend. We are safe and sound. And Dark is droning, and Dark has a massive lead. You may look at this and think, Solar, he's up in drones. True, but Solar also wasn't droning for as long. And on top of that, Solar, he's going to be oversaturated on one base, waiting for his natural. His long distance mining even at his natural, whereas Dark can freely mine from his natural instead. So a good start here by Dark. You see Solar just trying to dance with the army, dance with the Lings, trading as best he can, but regardless, Dark, he will defend and he will hold. And the game is going to settle down into a longer game. I'm curious if Solar's going to skip his Bailey Nest. I'm curious if he's going to play 2-base Roach from here, just because of the state of the game. And speaking of 2-base Roach, yep, we have, oh, interesting. We have a lair on the way. Evo Chamber in the main. We're not using the Evo Chamber to wall off, but there's that Roach Warren at that natural. So it is 2-base Roach. Again, this makes a lot of sense. Just because of Solar's deficit, he's skipping Link speed. Because he knows he's behind, he's skipping Link speed, and he's playing 2-base Roach. The downside here is that Solar's going to be stuck on 2 bases, and Dark is going to be free to take a third. Speaking of, there's that third. So Dark will have an economic advantage over Solar. Solar could decide to go for a later third, or can go for a 2-base all-in. He has 2-base all-in potential here with this setup. With a faster lair, leads into really fast Roach speed. So Dark has to be careful. Right now, there's a lot of pressure on Dark, actually, to scout and confirm whether or not Solar drones. Solar, he's taking a third base. Oh, this is risky. This is greedy, actually. Very greedy here. Going for a third already. Yeah, forced to cancel. Lings have been revealed. Lings, they arrive as well. Very greedy out of Solar. He gets punished for it. Usually, when you play 2-base Roach, you can't expand until you have Roaches. Until you have, like, a solid Roach force to defend. So Dark, so quick to punish. Lings, they do dive in. Link speed is finishing up in a couple of seconds. And Solar, he's cutting workers at 43. Still on 2 bases, amassing Roaches. Roach speed is almost halfway done. And here we go for the surround. Dark collapsing on these Roaches. Good stutter stepping here out of Solar. He avoids the surround, only 1 Roach goes down. We go for the Queen, but the Queen survives as well. That was not worth it for Dark. A little bit too ambitious, and we're spreading creep. Oh. Okay, not quite a creep highway, just a single Overlord spreading creep to expand and take a third. Behind this, Dark hasn't been droning, by the way. I spoke about how because Dark can take the center base, he can take an economic lead, but he has not been droning. Dark, he's amassing Roaches, he's amassing Lings. Dark, he's going for his own push, which is scary because he doesn't need to. Like, Dark, we can just drone. We could have just droned up and saturated on 3 bases and gotten into our own lair, but this is a hatch tech all-in out of Dark. It's Ling Roach with +1 carapace. Dark, he's putting it all on the line. And Solar, he does have vision of the... Oh, doesn't have vision of the base, actually. Didn't confirm saturation. If Solar drones, he's going to be in trouble. But Solar, he's making a lot of Roaches. Yeah, Solar just going to be taking advantage of that gas geyser. Army's pushing in. Solar, he is not droned. Look at the army sizes. He has 28 Roaches. That's a lot of Roaches. And Dark is going for just Ling Ravager. His goal here, so the way this army works for Dark, he wants to surround and bile. He wants to surround the army and just bile it down. He's going for the surround. He's trying to. And he does look down the Roaches. Biles, they will connect. Big connections here on the Roaches. A very efficient trade. Cleans up half of the army, but only half. Dark has to back up. Going for another surround. And he locks down the army for a second time. Oh, he's trying to. Oh, the Biles. They miss. This time the Biles will not connect. Dark has to be careful, very careful. This is a very fragile army here for Dark. As there we go, he does collapse on the army. Shuts down the Queens. And Dark, he barely is breaking through. We have reinforcements on the way. Roaches are amassing. Dark balding down those eggs. GG gets called. He barely has enough. The all-in works, and Dark will take the series 2-0, advancing on to the grand finals. Whew, GG. GG, well played. Congratulations here to Dark as he does take the series 2-0, but that was a close one. Again, that style, going for Ling Ravager, going for the +1 carapace all-in like that, it is so risky. If Dark didn't get the surround, if he didn't lock down that army the first time, then Solar wins the fight. Solar, he's going to be able to, he would have been able to stutter step back towards his natural, shave off those Lings, and just outscale Dark as the game progressed, with just a higher Roach count overall. It was a very risky style out of Dark, but it was able to get the surround, lock down the initial army, and was able to snowball from there. GG, well played. Congratulations, Dark advances on to the grand finals. Solar is eliminated from the tournament. GG. GG. And now we need a moment here to have a look at the bracket and figure out where we are. Where exactly are we? Exclamation mark B in the chat if you guys want to have a look at the bracket yourselves. Let's switch our scenes over, and The lower semifinals is currently underway. Okay, so Bjorn took down Classic 2-1. Shout out to Classic, he did force the ace smash, and I mentioned before that it's really important for Classic to perform better in these online tournaments because he is not in GSL. So Classic did well for himself, taking down Shin, taking a map off of Bjorn. Did go down, but no shame in going down to Bjorn whatsoever. Meanwhile, Nightmare has been on fire recently. Nightmare, he 2-1 Oliveira, 2-0'd Gumiho, and I kind of want to favor Nightmare against Bjorn. I would not be surprised if this goes to the ace match. Not gonna lie. Nightmare, he's beaten Bjorn before. He can do it again. This is going to be a very, very dynamic matchup, especially in PvT. Nightmare, he's a very, very fast player in this matchup. He's very dynamic, very aggressive against other Terran players. So, yeah, this is going to be a wild matchup. I look forward to it. I do look forward to it. Now, they are mid-series. I believe they're in Game 1. They're 10 minutes into Game 1, so, unfortunately, we won't be able to cast Game 1, but we should be able to jump into Game 2. Also, my apologies, they're not in Game 1. Bjorn is leading the series 1-0. They're currently in game number 2, so this means we're either going to be casting Dark versus Bjorn in the finals, or it's going to be Dark, or it's going to be Bjorn versus Nightmare in the ace match. One or the other. One or the other. One moment here. Just going to be setting things up, and that means we have some downtime. We have a little bit of downtime here, waiting for Bjorn and Nightmare game 2 to finish, and depending on the results, we'll have our answer. We'll have our next series. Whew, but yeah, that was a that was a pretty intense. Yeah, I'm calming down, Papi. I'm calming down. A pretty intense series, and yeah, we're gonna be going on a short break. Take this moment to get some water, get some rest, get some snacks as well, and we'll be back soon with our next series, with either the lower semis or the grand finals. We'll see you soon. Cut. And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to ESL Open Cup Asia 224, the grand finals. Those grand finales. We're here finally after a pretty intense back and forth tournament. We've had some amazing players rise and fall, and now we're down to these final two competitors. And spawning in the top right hand corner of Post Youth, we have our South Korean Zerg player, the Blue Zerg representing Talon Esports. It is Dark. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the South Korean Terran player, the Red Terran representing Shopify Rebellion. It is Byun. And if you are in the chat, predictions are open. Place your bets, Papi. Place your bets on who you believe is going to be this week's champion. Will it be Dark or Byun, a Zerg or a Terran? One player or the other. Up to you to decide. Best of luck. Predictions. Best of luck. As we do settle into this, it is going to be a hatch first here from Dark. Likewise, Byun not going for a CC first. We have seen a lot of Terran players tempted to go CC first and have gotten away with it as well. Very similar to Radis's Station in that sense. What I'm referring to here is the fact that we have a pocket hybrid base. We have a free hybrid base here available to our players, so we have seen quite a number of Terran players be quite greedy here to take it a little bit faster. We can see that Byun is going for a much more standard build, going for a Rax expand, but regardless, this natural base is going to be very safe and very secure. Very safe and secure. Likewise, the third base isn't too much in the open either. We have our triangular third that we can take. Alongside that, we have our gold base as well. Now, we have seen a lot of players, a lot of Zergs and Protosses, even Terrans, depending on the matchup, rush into this gold a lot faster as a third, not even a fourth. Even as a natural at times if you wanted to be a little bit more aggressive and all in. So there's a lot of gold. There's a lot of gold to be taken here on this map, on Post Youth. Can lead to some interesting games. Same can be said when it comes to the map layout. As the gold base, sure, it's available here to get a little bit earlier, but it's so exposed as well. We have high ground towards the north, high ground towards the south. We have an entry point here on the right-hand side as well. It's a very exposed base. As Reaper does get across the map, going to be dancing with the Lings. Doesn't quite get a drone yet. Oh, doesn't quite get a Ling either. Two of those Lings getting very low, though. Just trying to buy time for the Queen. And the Reaper is going to back off. Yeah, the Reaper pulls back. The Queens are up and running. And we've held. Behind this, Dark was able to skirt around and sneak out a drone. And we have our third base on the way. Behind this, interesting. Okay, speaking of greed, we didn't go for a CC first. But that is a Rax expand into a command center, into a Rax. A very fast third CC. Insanely fast third base here from Byun. Before the factory, before the starport. It's going to be 3 CC into a 3 Rax. Let's go. So Byun's being quite greedy here, and he's going to be building up quite a hefty bio count as well. Going to be working on a very large bio army. Going to be pushing out with Stim, I imagine, once we get our add-ons on the way on these Raxes. And I believe we should be hitting before Metavax, before we get into any starport production. So this is going to hit like a truck, but it's going to be delayed. That's the give and take that we have here. We have a very greedy build, and we're going in towards a bio push, but Dark has time to prepare for said push. And because of the base layout, he doesn't quite have means to punish this build either. Punish the greed. Dark is going to be happily joining up. Likewise, when it comes to Dark's playstyle in this matchup, he's quite fond of roaches in ZVT. But on a wide open map like this, do we embrace the roach or do we go into Lingbane instead? Just because Dark is known for his roach play doesn't mean that's all he can do in this matchup. He's quite fond of Lingbane into Lurker or roaches into Lingbane into Ultra is what I meant to say. Lingbane into Hive Tech into Ultras on some of these larger maps. Or Lingbane Roach as well. We'll see. Meanwhile, there's that Stim that we spoke about. Stim, Combat Shields is going to be a timing once both these upgrades kick in. There's that factory, soon to be a starport thereafter. And Darky is going for a lair first. So very standard play here out of Dark. He's not being too greedy. What I mean by that is that Zerg players, they have the option to go into like double Evo chamber first, for example, into faster Evo chambers, or into a faster Baneling nest. Just going to be a lair first here from Dark. Into a more standard Baneling nest timing into later Evo chambers. So So nothing too crazy here at the Dark. Meanwhile, here comes that push. Remember we spoke about how this bio timing from Beyond was supposed to hit before Medivacs? Well, we're moving out already, and Stim is going to finish. Again, there's a very crisp timing with Stim. Now, because there are no Medivacs, there's no sustain. There's no way to heal up these Marines, so every Stim counts. Every Stim is so important with this army. Likewise, we can't Medivac out. We can't lift up and get the hell out of here. So do like those Medivacs. So Beyond has to be very careful with this army. Meanwhile, Dark, he's amassing Lings, amassing Queens. And you can see Beyond, he skirts around the edge and he pulls back. He doesn't commit, not yet, waiting for reinforcements. Yeah, he doesn't like what he sees, he pulls back home. Thankfully, Beyond doesn't throw his army away. Doesn't throw it away, he pulls back, he's playing safe. Playing safe, now he's got 1-1 on the horizon, he's got the rest of his add-ons being switched over, now we're getting into our medevac production. Soon we can go into drop play. Soon drop play is going to be made available. And because Dark had so much of an army, because he was so ready, again, Beyond didn't commit. Not going to move out until he has access to that drop play. Now Beyond is going to be focusing down those rocks. Just gaining access to this Zelnaga. That's another feature of this map, is that there is a Zelnaga tower here, but you do have to knock down these rocks to gain access to it. Beyond taking the triangular third here, already fully saturated. Again, you can see that Beyond, he is actually ahead economically. He has an even worker count with Dark plus Mules. So because of Beyond's build, like, the greed is really paying off now. So Beyond is keeping up. Exceeding Dark. Meanwhile, Dark going Lingbane Hydra. A very, very standard unit composition here. Nothing too fancy here out of Dark, just Lingbane Hydra. Very solid unit composition. Very flexible. Lings and Banes being set up on the right-hand side. Dark prepared here on the left. And keeping up with the drop play. Queens are positioned in the main. So the drop is denied. At the same time, we're going for a move out here on the right-hand side. And in comes Dark. Ooh, but the tank is in position. Beyond, he does defend, even taking down some Banelings for free. Okay, just really nice tank positioning here by Beyond. Holding control of the Zelnaga and also covering itself as well, for the most part. Dark trying to sneak up on those drops with his Hydras. Beyond committing to Bio Tank. 1-1 is done. 2-2 on the way for Beyond. Working on the rest of his Raxes, getting up to 8 Raxes even. Okay. So we do have an A-Rax set up here by Beyond. We're not taking additional gases. We have taken 1 here at the third. We should be throwing in a 4cc soon. But that's a lot of bio for Beyond. Oh, as the goal base is going to be going down. Very nice positioning here with the tanks on the high ground. The goal goes down. Beyond can't get much more than that, but upon killing a base, now we throw down the 4cc on location. So Beyond achieving quite a lot here. Like, he's got quite some momentum on his side. He's trapped with these 2 medevacs, somewhat trapped. But he's gaining ground once again. Clearing a creep, forcing Dark to expand towards the left-hand side. Getting his 5th. As Beyond is getting his 4th. Rocks have been knocked down, but the tanks a siege. Tanks are set up. Reef going to be receding once again. At the same time, Dark going for his own Lingbane run by, and this time he does get in. He's going for the tanks, and they will go down. He should get one and then the other, forcing Beyond to turn back around and race back home. Yeah, both tanks fall. A 3rd tank as well. Oh my god, this thing run by. Insane. And now that Beyond's out of position, we collapse on top of the main army. Yeah, we get us around big bathing connections on the Marines. We get another tank. We're down to 1. 1 tank left here, and 1 swift move. Dark, he created an opening for himself. He caught reinforcements, dragged Beyond out of position. And Dark, he's all over this. Once again, setting up for another flank. Beyond still getting his 4th base. And that momentum that Beyond once had, not there anymore. His position significantly weaker upon losing 3 tanks. Good positioning here by Beyond. Does trade well for himself. At the same time, pushing towards the left-hand side. Still has quite a threatening bio force. But only 2 tanks. Only 1 factory producing as well. No second factory. This is basically a 3-base all-in out of Beyond. Not gonna lie. He's main nutting over towards that 4th base. Hasn't made any workers for quite some time. Refusing to. And refusing to throw down the second factory as well. And Beyond is committed. Beyond, he's committed to his aggression. Oh my god, the power bombs! The power bombs, they shut down one of the medevacs. The other does escape. Beyond reinforcing again with Mass Marine. Remember, there's no finesse with this. There's no Ghosts, no Widow Mines, no Marauders, no additional tanks. Still only that 1 tank. Again, it's because Beyond is just sending it all here. He is A-Raxing. When I saw the 4th base, I thought he was transitioning, but that is not the case. We catch another tank. Another tank goes down. Again, that's still a lot of Marines that you have to respect. Stim forward once again at the same time. Dark. He breaks the 3rd base. Getting into the mineral line. Beyond completely all in at this point. Medevacs are going down. Looks like back at home he does clean up the army. Does defend his 3rd mineral line for the most part. And Beyond, he's still trying to brute force his way through, and he has forced the creep to recede. And there's still a lot of DPS available here. Dark waiting for his Vipers, waiting for some blinding clouds. Again, there's 2 tanks available. Vipers are pushing forward. Blinding clouds are not quite thrown down. We go for the power bomb instead. We go for the power bomb. Beyond, he's gaining ground, getting himself the base. He gets a hatchery. He does get the hatchery. Dark in some trouble. Is in quite a bit of trouble here. You can see as Beyond, as he's running out of minerals, he's main nutting over towards the 4th. He hasn't made a worker in quite some time. Now making some SCVCs pulling back. He's rotating around. Another hatchery falls. Mass Marine, Papi. That's all you need. Ooh, as we do get on top of the tanks. Once again, both of them go down. To reinforce with 1 more. Now, Dark is at least double expanding on the right-hand side, but he's down to 3 bases. Oh, has such limited larva available. Dark is hurting. Again, earlier he did such a great job at just punishing Beyond, catching tanks, but Beyond, his position was still a little bit too strong. He just bullied his way forward, killed 2 bases, and Dark, he's up against the wall. He's hurting so much right now, and because of the positioning, because of the terrain, Beyond, he just rotates around, and he's already within range. He's already within range of this goal base. It's not going to get up and running. It's not going to mine. And Beyond, he's doing it. He's doing it here. There's no pushing into this. Dark just cannot engage. Goes for a big link counterattack, but there are reinforcements back at home. Does force a cancel. That's 13 dead drones and a hatchery. At the same time, leading round by, but again, there are reinforcements back at home. 3-3 is done for the Terran. And Beyond, he is breaking through. Now we get some ultras, but it feels a little bit too late. Ultras are ideal right now because remember, like, Beyond's been all in this entire time. Like, there's no Ghosts, there's no Marauders. Ultras, they can do well for themselves with upgrades. But can they make up for this deficit is the problem. So you do end up catching one of those tanks. Decent Bailey connection as well. Oh, big Bailey connections. Dark having a very good fight here towards the south, but he loses another hatchery. Another base goes down. This game getting very scrappy here. You see how overstimmed Beyond is. Kiting all the way back to his own main base. Marauder production has commenced. Oh, that's the beginning here. Bjorn taking up. Boys are being pulled. Marines, they race back home. Ultras, they're putting in a lot of work. Dark is not out of this. We killed how many Marines? 78. 78 Marines went down there. But this fourth base for Bjorn, it's just paying off so well. Big Runby comes in, we focus on one mule. Managed to get one mule here at the fourth. Not much else. Behind this, infestors are on the way, spellcasters are hitting the field. Dark, the quality of his army is getting better and better. Like, the quality is looking quite solid here for Dark. We just need a little bit more time for these infestors. And one or two good fungals. And Dark can bring this back. But now we have Marauders. Bathing Runby comes in, 13 SCVs go down. Big connections. Another Bathing Runby being set up on the right-hand side. More links here towards the left. Dark, non-stop harassment. Infestors, they have arrived. We have fungals. Yanni scans, he pre-splits his army. Does split the infestors. Rotating around. Again, we're just looking for a juicy connection for Dark. Ling Runby comes in. Once again, we collapse on the army. Fungal on the Medivacs. Fungal on the Medivacs. Fungal on the army as well. Big connections. And Dark, he's cleaning this up. He's shutting this down. Clutch Transfuse keeping those Ultras alive. One of them finally gets picked off, but only one Ultra falls. Whew. And just like that, Bjorn plummets in supply. And GG gets called. Dark, he does it. Oh my god. GG, Dark. There was a moment he was down to what? 2.5 bases mining. He lost so many hatcheries, so much momentum. Bjorn was running away with it. But Dark, he was able to hold on, not just by defending, but the non-stop counterattacks. The Ling run-bys, the Baneling run-bys, the Ultra counterattack as well. Very impressive there. For Dark to be able to hold on, to be able to buy time, harass, bounce back, and survive with the higher tech, you know, with the Ultras, with the Infestors. GG. GG, well played. Whew. Dark takes game one, but that was not an easy game. That was not an easy game whatsoever. We're getting ready for game number 2 on Crimson Court. It was very back and forth. Aye, aye, aye. Very tense, very back and forth, and now we're getting into our next game into Crimson Court. I don't expect Bjorn to play the same style again in this entire series. Going for an ARAX 3 base all-in like that is, again, typically map reliant, very much so map reliant, depending on the rush distance by ground, and the of course features of the map as well. These tank positions that you can lay siege upon the fresh mining bases of the Zerg. So as we saw, it was almost enough. I mean, it should have been enough to kill Dark then and there in game 1 on Post Youth, but now we're loading in to Crimson Court. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Crimson Court, we have our blue Zerg player from South Korea leading the series 1-0. It is Dark. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the red Terran player from South Korea representing Shopify Rebellion. Looking solid in that last game. Things were looking up for him, but the game, it slipped through his fingers. Can he bounce back? Going for 2 racks. It is Bjorn. Here we go. We have our first racks being set up here on the low ground. Here comes the next SCV. It's going to be a 2 racks Reaper build here out of Bjorn. Dark going full first. Interesting. Very interesting. Let's go, Poppy. Let's go. You beat me to it. That's key. There's someone freaking out in the chat. Calm down, Papi, calm down. Another fellow mod beat me to the timeout. Smooch. wanted to be there for it. Calm down, Papi. Again, when it came to that last game, being that emotional, I mean, it was a very, very tense game, very, very brutal game number 1, and basically Beyond was going for an all-in. It was going for an all-in, and if you remember, initially Dark had held. Like, Dark, he was in a prime position to take that game where he was able to harass across the map, catch the tanks, cripple some of the economy as well. But Beyond, based on his positioning, based on his, I mean, with his reinforcements as well, he was able to just bounce back regardless, even without his tanks. And yeah, that was a wild back and forth. It was a wild back and forth, a very messy game 1 as well. Now we're getting into game 2. Again, 2x Reaper. Reapers are moving out across the map. But because it was a pull first, the Queen is already ready. The Queen is done earlier than normal. So Dark, he should have an easier time defending with his higher Queen count. And we'll see if Beyond can break through as well. A bit of miscontrol though! Oh my god. Beyond flying too close to the sun there is 1 shot away from going down. Does manage to escape. Thankfully. Now, this build from Beyond, the purpose of it, of 2x Reaper, is to contain the Zerg player on 2 bases and delay the third for as long as we can. This is not meant to, like, get out of control when it comes to economic damage or kill queens or kill the Zerg. But Beyond, he's going for more damage. He dives into the main. He gets a drone. Good pickup. Gets a drone. Backs off as well. Some bonus damage dealt there by Beyond, as Dark has yet to expand. Behind this, we're following this up with, ooh, a 3-racks build. Okay. So the way this works, initially, of course, Beyond is slowing down the production, slowing down the economy, following this up with a bio push, very similar to the last game. We're going to be hitting a time with stim. This is going to be hitting without medevacs. So it's going to be a stim timing here with mass bio, and if Dark doesn't see this coming, if Dark doesn't get ready for this, then the bio push, the sim timing can just get out of hand and can snowball out of control. But Dark, he did scout the 3rd racks. Big scout there by Dark. Does scout the 3rd racks. Ling speed has kicked in. We dive on top of the Reapers, and we do focus them down one after the other. All 3 Reapers do fall. Good pick off there by Dark. Does shut the Reapers down. Dark, he's now trying to rush into his 3rd base. Roach Warren's on the way, but Dark is vulnerable. He's quite vulnerable at the moment. Marines are moving out, and can Beyond deny the 3rd once again? Can he deny once again? So far, a good start of stepping here out of Beyond. Does get some damage done, but he will pull back. Remember, Stim isn't even done, by the way. It's finishing up in 5 seconds, so that was a very, very ballsy move there by Beyond. Not punished for it, though. Did get some nice damage. Here come the reinforcements, and here comes the real push. The Sim timing is soon to be upon us, and Dark is in trouble. The Queens are exposed. He does pull back the Roaches. They make it just in time. How many Roaches do we have? 6 Roaches. Is that enough? You can see Beyond trying to catch the army out in the tall grass, and we collapse onto the army. We Stim on forward, and so many Roaches go down. And Beyond, he's almost double out of control. He takes down the Queen. Things are coming in. Can we hold? And it looks like we barely do force Beyond back. Dark holds. And we have a game. Dark, he holds. He doesn't lose his 3rd base, doesn't lose his 2nd Queen. He lost 1 Queen, but not the other. And now we can draw. Now Dark can saturate the space, and now Beyond can get ready for the next step, working towards a 3rd CC. For now, Beyond, he's got his eBay on the way for +1, factory and starport for medevac production. Looking at the trade here, it was 9 Marines for 16 Lings, 4 Roaches, and 1 Queen. And Beyond is going to hit the field once he gets his medevacs out. Then he can stim as much as he wants. He can be more active. There it is, 3rd CC on the way, so it's not a 2-base all-in. We're working towards a 3rd. As the Dark does at least get a full scout of the main, he does confirm the 3rd CC. Beyond pushing towards the south. Double drop going into the main. Marines here threatening the third base as well. And we'll see if Dark can keep up. The downside here of a Roach heavy composition is how immobile it is. We do focus down 2 Roaches and 2 drones. Beyond does pick up at the same time, stimming on forward in towards the third base. Can he get in? Up! He can! Ooh, boys are being pulled. That's going to be 5, 6, 7 drones going down. Oh my god, the target firing! Did I say 7? I meant to say 12. 12 drones go down at the third base. A critical amount of damage. We drop back into the main. We focus down 2 more queens. This is getting out of hand. This is becoming far too much. That was what? 2 queens, 6 roaches, 12 drones. 1 medevac did go down. Thankfully for Dark, so he does fight back. Well, those are some brutal losses, and Björn is ahead. Björn, he's ahead in the economy. Getting his third base on location. Getting his mules up and running as well. And his upgrades are soon going to be kicking in. Now it's going to be on Dark to recover. It's going to be on Dark to try to stabilize here. Don't go into the long grass. Oh no. It's like a Pokemon encounter. And how do we bounce back? Okay, so Darky's rushing into an infestation pit. So we're rushing towards Hive Tech or most likely infestors for fungal growth. We have Burrow and Tunneling Claw on the way. This is a good way to bounce back. With Tunneling Claw harassing roaches, we could try to get into mineral lines, pick up SCVs, catch reinforcements. There's potential to bounce back here for Dark. Is potential. And as we saw in game 1, you can't count him out. You cannot count him out. As Vianney drops in towards the third. Keeping Dark on his toes. Triple drop here towards the left-hand side with Marauders. And it looks like Björn, he's just concerned about denying a fourth. Keep an eye on the fourth base. Gonna deny it if it ever gets thrown down. Go triple drop in towards the natural. We catch a queen. Not quite. We go for the Roach Warden instead, and Tunneling Claw do it. Finish. Oh my god, big snipe here. Roach Warden goes down, Ravages as well. At the same time, drop here at the center base, picking up even more drones. Good target firing out of Björn. Getting 7 drones. The medevac goes down, but this is worth it. 7 up to 10 drones get targeted here at the third. And we may have lost the medevac, but again, it's so important here that Björn, he's just all over Dark, crippling his economy, making sure that Dark, he just can't really get up and running. Still no fourth base. Finally being thrown down. Dark is going for the Nidus. Now, because of that sniped Roach Warren, no Tunneling Claws. He has Burrow, but no Tunneling Claw Roaches. That comeback mechanic is no longer available for Dark. And we're pushing. Now, Björn does not see the Nidus. Nidus is finished. Roach is coming in. At the same time, Björn is pushing. Dark, he gets into the main base, can be the production as well. Very good counter-attack. At the same time, we spoke about the fast infestation bit. It was for infestors, for fungal growth. Hive is on the way. The Roaches, they take down the Rax. Okay. Rax goes down. Solid counter-attack. Meanwhile, drop going towards the main. Yeah, this center base is going to be going down. Dark knocked down to 2 bases. We've seen this before. The center base does fall. Dark just cannot keep up, cannot save that hatchery. Has been pulled apart left and right, time and time again. And Dark was just never allowed to recover this game. He was never able to freely saturate his third and get back up and running economically, get a fourth base. Björn has just been in his face the entire game from the get-go, from the opener. The Nidus harass was nice, but as we can see here, it wasn't quite enough. Björn also maintains his tank count. We get a decent fungal, but there's no follow-up either. No follow-up from the fungal. Nidus into the natural has potential. But Björn, he knows. He does spot it. Does react. Rotating back over. does pull him back. And I mean, Dark, he does have some breathing room. He's back up to 3 bases. He desperately needs a 4th, and a 5th he's double expanding. Because how far behind Dark is, he needs to double expand, needs to catch back up. And Bjorn, he's just turtling up back at home. You know, he's satisfied with the damage he dealt. He's shutting down the Nidus Worms. Remember, Tunneling Claws isn't done, so we can only borrow. We can't get away. And Bjorn is about to max out. He's about to max out. He's working on 3-3. And once he does max, he should push. Meanwhile, back at home, what is Dark working with? Now, he, I believe, did rebuild the Roach Warren. Yes, Roach Warren has been rebuilt. He's focusing on Lingbane Roach Ravager. Hive is done. Adrenal. Vipers are on the way. Doesn't have a bad army. He just has no sustain as we focus on the spawning pool. Oh my god! We deny Adrenal. Adrenal glands is denied. GG gets pulled. There's just too much. Bjorn pushing through the center, and Bjorn ties up the series 1-1. GG. GG, well played. Again, Bjorn gaining a lot of momentum early on with his initial build, with initial opener. Was able to delay and contain Dark onto 2 bases. Likewise with the follow-up 3 racks as well. Bjorn achieved quite a lot. Killing drones, killing roaches, killing queens. Again, Bjorn just always in the driver's seat there. Constantly applying pressure, and Dark just was not able to stabilize, not able to stand back up. He was just knocked down. Could not keep up with Bjorn. GG. And with that, we have a tied up series. We have a series on our hands. We have a back and forth. That's all we ever want here in these finals. No 3-0s. We are tied up 1-1. And who will take a lead in this series as we're getting ready for Game 3 on Oceanborn? Let's go. We're going to be loading into Oceanborn here. And now that we're going onto some of these older maps, I do think that Dark is going to have a much easier time here defending and getting into his own build, getting into his game. I do feel like Dark should have an easier time taking a 3rd and a 4th and settling into his own ZBT. But here we go. We're getting into Game 3 and spawning in the top left-hand corner of Oceanborn. We have the South Korean Zerg player, the Blue Zerg representing Talon Esports, being forced into a tied-up series. It is Dark. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Terran player, the Red Terran, representing Shopify Rebellion, tying up the series 1-1. It is Bjorn. We go. This time, Bjorn not setting up for a 2-Rax Reaper build. This time, it is going to be a Rax on the high ground instead. Okay. So we're calming things down a little bit here in game number 3. As a reminder, last game, Bjorn went for a 2-Rax Reaper build, which is why he was able to... Oh, but he's going CC first! I was curious. I was like, where's the Rax? I'm a little bit confused. Okay, so in the last game, again, it was a much more aggressive build containing Dark. This time, a much greedier build going CC first into a delayed Rax, into delayed gases. Let's go. Bjorn being quite greedy here. I would say it's usually risky to do this against Dark, but Dark is going for a standard opener, hatch gas pool. Dark should not be able to punish this, should not be able to really deny this hatch, this CC in any way. So a nice start here by Bjorn. Ooh, going into 2 racks behind this. Okay. He's cooking, Papi. He's cooking. I'm ready. Excuse me. Better change your Beyondies? Oh my god. I'm just thinking of underwear with like Bjorn's face on it. You're an animal. What are you doing? Ay, ay, ay. Not like this. But interesting. It's going to be a 2 racks follow-up here into Reactor. This is so greedy, by the way. If Dark had gone for a pool first, if Dark had gone into a Roach Rush with an early Roach Warren, and if he was pushing out with Roaches, there's literally nothing to defend. There's no factory, no starports, no Reaper, no Marine, no nothing. No SCV Scout either. Like, this is crazy. You can get away with this on larger maps, like Alkion and Radisson Station in the previous map pool. But yeah, this is very risky out of Bjorn he's gambling, and he's doing well. Like, he's getting away with it. 100%. And behind this, he's going for a 4-axe. Okay, so this is very committed. I haven't seen Beyond 4-axe in a couple of months, actually. It's been a couple of months. But this is quite popular for Beyond last year, like June, July, April, May, June, July-ish kind of era of StarCraft. We saw a lot of 4-axes out of Beyond. This is going to hit like a truck. Now, if you remember last game, that stim timing that Beyond had with 3-axe Marine, and he achieved a lot of damage with it. He didn't kill his opponent, but he did a lot of damage. Similar kind of idea here. We're going to have a lot of axes. This is going to hit with stim, not with medevacs, not with Hellions. Like, this is before Factory, before Starport. No medevacs, no sustain. A very strong mass Marine stim timing here out of Beyond. Because it's 4-axe, not 3, this is more committed, which means most likely Beyond is going to push into these bases. He's going to push into either the natural or the third, and he's looking for damage. And this could kill. This is not an all-in, but it is committed. That's how I would put this here. You can transition out of this into a third CC, into your factory, into your starport. You can work towards a later game, but this is still quite committed. Because of that, I would say that Beyond has to get damage with this. Like, you do need to trade well. We'll see how Dark responds. For now, Dark is in the dark. He doesn't quite know what's going on. Lings are moving out. They're going to be scouting and checking the third base locations, even the fourth base locations. Overlord is parked outside. Dark hasn't even checked to see if it's a third CC. And here's our transition factory into starport. So the bio army is moving out. And Dark, he does spot this. He does spot the Marines. He's aware. He just droned! Uh-oh. He just droned. He's not prepared for this. He has a good amount of queens. Lings are on the way. But Dark, he's caught with his pants down. Can he hold on? He has to buy time. You can see him pulling all of his queens together, even from the main base. Every queen has arrived. We do have transfused. How many queens is this? 8 queens. That's a pretty solid queen count. Lings are amassing as we speak. And Dark, he should hold. We have enough queens. We do send forward. We do barely not get a queen. The transfuse a little bit too good. 1 queen goes down. Lings are being shaved off, but it looks like Dark holds. He does hold, he does survive. Beyond does back off. You can see he wants something more. He gets the tuber. Barely gets the tuber, gets the hell out of here. Behind this, we're getting into our follow-up. Oh my god. We're getting into our follow-up, and do you see what I see? No third CC. I did mention earlier how this is not an all-in, and you can throw down a third CC thereafter to transition. That's not a third CC. That's a factory into starport into a 5th Rax. Okay, I was about to call this an all-in. Now we get a third CC on the way, but it's a very delayed third base here from Beyond. And Dark, he's free to drone. Whew, he's free to drone. He's double expanding, taking a 4th and a 5th base. Baliness is on the way. Lair as well. And Dark, he can calm down. He can calm things down. Tech up, drone up. Really, my eyes are on Beyond. Beyond, he should be moving out soon with his medevacs. Medevacs are on the way. Here we go. As Beyond's move out was spotted, so Darky's getting ready. Once again, bringing every single queen forward here to defend. Bringing his queens forward. Beyond, he rotates around. He does come across the would-be 4th base, and he should force a cancel. Yeah, there's no saving this. Yeah, the 4th is canceled. Thankfully, Dark double expanded, so he does get a backup 4th base up and running. Again, that's why you want to double expand, because sure, you might cancel one, but you at least have the other. It's an interesting thing to think about. It is. Hi. As again, you can see Beyond just being as active as possible. Trading with the army, poking in. Meanwhile, here come the reinforcements. Here comes the second wave. Marines and tanks, and he does come across some of this harassing force. Laser caught out. Dark staying with the surrounding, goes in with the tanks. Tanks are saved. Marines as well. Hot pickup out of Beyond. Does save most of his army, and Dark, he may have let out too many Lings. Does he have enough to defend back at home? Bathing speed just now finishing. Things are getting across the map. Beyond defense. Bailings are on the way. Again, we have 2 fights about to begin. We have Beyond's assault across the map. We have Dark's push as well. Dark not turning around. He wants to commit. So does Beyond. Yeah, Dark evacuating his third base. Knows he can't quite defend. Well, he may just lose too much. There we go. We're getting ready for a surround. Yeah, Dark coming back home with everything. Second guessing himself. Moving back out with his Ling Bane. Yeah, Dark, he's just posturing. Beyond working on his armory, getting ready for 2-2. +2 just begun. The hatchery getting very low. Transfuse. He's pushing forward. The base is going to be barely stayed behind this. Dark, he expanded towards the left-hand side. Trying to make sure that his economy is still okay. Beyond has taken an economic lead, bear that in mind. And Beyond is committing across the map. Going for the 4CC, and he does force a cancel. Just barely. Does force a cancel. Beyond is going for a second factory. He's not all in. But that's a kill on the hatchery. It does go down. And now Dark has to pull the trigger. And he will clean this up. He's going to clean up the tanks, but the damage has been done. The base went down. And Beyond, he slips into the main base. Good target firing once again. Getting 5 drone kills. But you know what? The hive is done. And this entire time, Dark has been teching into ultras. Dark, he may have lost the base. Dark, he may be behind in the economy, down in drones. That's actually pretty huge. He is quite behind in the worker count. Dark, he's got some droning to do. But he at least has tech. At least does have that tech. Beyond, he's got the economic lead here. And I want to give the edge to Beyond. Looking solid back at home. He's working towards the next step. More factories on the way. Sorry, more Raxes on the way. No Ghost Academy yet, but he already scouted. He scouted the Ultra Cavern and the Hive. Complete. He knows. He knows what's coming his way. Beyond should be getting ready back at home. Dark going to be committing with his Ling Bane. There's only one tank. The Widowman's have to burrow. Widowman's not quite in position, and Dark, he may be able to break through. Gets into the mineral line. And he does shut down every single SCV here. Big connections with the Banelings, and Beyond not ready back at home. GG gets called. Dark snowballing out of control with his counterattack, and Dark takes a lead in the series. GG. Oh my god. Papi. Things were looking pretty good for Beyond there. Beyond, he was up in workers, he was getting up in bases, he was teching up as well, but he did lose his tanks. He did lose his tanks across the map, and back at home he had 1 tank. No bunkers. No bunkers. The Widow Mines weren't set up either. He was not ready for their counterattack, and Dark, surprisingly, he was able to just find a weak point in the defense there, a weak point in the armor, and broke through. GG. GG, well played. These have been very interesting games. Game 1 and Game 2 and Game 3, not a single standard game. We have no standard games here whatsoever between these two players. Very unique games, very unique builds from both Beyond and Dark. Mainly Beyond, really. Remember, Game 1, Beyond did go for an 8 racks. Game 2, Beyond went 2 racks. Reaper into his 3 racks follow-up. In just non-stop aggression. Here, in Game 3, Beyond going for a 4 racks as well. Just really being so versatile and so different with his builds. I mean, again, Beyond, he has so many different builds up his sleeve, so many different playstyles. He can even mech it up. We have seen Beyond play mech before. We might see it in this series, we'll see. As for now, we're getting into our next game, and spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Alkyone, we have our South Korean Zerg player, the Blue Zerg, representing Talon Esports. Taking a lead in this series, 1 game away from winning it all. It is Dark. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, sorry, top right-hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the Red Terran player representing Shopify Rebellion. Down in the series, he has to fight back here and now to force the ace match. He needs your support in the chat. It is Björn. Here we go. But it's been a unique build every game from Björn. It looks like, once again, CC first. Now, this does make sense. This does make a lot more sense. If you remember when we saw Björn go CC first last game on Oceanborn, I was talking about how, like, he's crazy. You normally do this on Alkyone, Radisson Station, some of these larger maps. Speaking of, we are on Alkyone. We're here, and it does make sense to go CC first. This is a much larger map, longer rush distance by ground. Because of that, you're a little bit safer here to earlier game aggression. This is a very defendable setup here on 2, 3, and 4 bases. There's a reason why we get a lot of late game on this map. And that could be what we see here this time. I mean, it's been a very intense series so far, very aggressive mid games and even early games between Dark and Björn. This could be the first time we can slow the game down a little bit and get into the late game. We'll see if we can get there. As, oh, it's the same build. Same build 2 games in a row. It is going to be CC first into 2 racks. I imagine we're going to be going for a reactor, followed by a 3rd racks behind this as well. We'll see. We'll see if it's going to be 3 racks or if it's going to be 2 racks into a 3rd CC. Alright, sorry, it was 3rd CC last time we saw this. Oh boy. It was on Crimson Court, that's it. Crimson Court. A couple of games ago. Meanwhile, Dark going for Hatchgas Pool, going for his 3rd base on location, without any issue. So standard opener out of Dark, greedier build here out of Björn. Okay, this is a different variation. So it's going to be CC first into 2 Raxes. He has not SCV scouted, by the way. No SCV scout. Reactor first, so no Reaper scout either. But instead of going for a 3rd CC to be greedy, or instead of going for a 3rd Rax like we saw previously, we're going into a factory. This looks like a Hellbat push. This looks like we're rushing to Stim into maybe an add-on swap or reactor on this factory into an armory. That's what I'm feeling, but we'll see. There's potential for a Hellbat push, otherwise we're just amassing Marines. And this is going to be just a very early sim timing. Behind this, we do have our starport on the way, reactor as well. I think this is just an add-on swap where we just go for the factory with the starport as well, go for the add-on swap into medevacs. So yeah, just a 2-on-1. It's been a while. 2-on-1s used to be a lot more commonplace. Many years ago, they used to be standard and meta. 2-on-1s are very out of fashion in current StarCraft and current meta. Okay. As we get into this, a big shout out to Holy Lime in the chat. Holy Lime 23, thank you so much for subscribing for 15 months. Papi, oh my god. Thank you so much for subscribing. We appreciate the support. We appreciate it. Gracias, papi, gracias. Hope you enjoy the content. Hope you enjoy the casting. And thanks to Holy Lime, we're able to fund our tournaments. We're able to host our events as well. So we do appreciate it. Do appreciate it, papi. As yeah, there's no armory, there's no Hellbats. We're going for a tech lab here. It's going to be, yeah, a 2-on-1. Okay. 2-on-1 refers to 2 Raxes, 1 factory, 1 starport. It's going to be a double medevac stim timing here by Björn. There's a bit of a give and take. Now, the downside of this build is that you don't have any map presence. Up until this point, the 4-minute 30 mark, Dark has been free to drone. He's been 100% free to drone, get his 3rd base, get his 4th base up and running. Hasn't had to make Lings or an army of any sort because there hasn't been any Hellions or Reapers to harass. Likewise, the creep. The creep is left uncontested as well. So this is a big reason as to why 2-on-1s are out of favor. They're out of fashion. The drop has arrived, but Dark, you should be fine. Dark, he should be fine here. Yeah, he's keeping up with the medevacs. They don't get any damage done. And we delayed our 3rd base for this. Is this 2 base all in? It is. Yeah, with the early tank production, 100%, it should have like, there should have been alarms like blaring in my mind upon seeing the faster tank. But this is going to be what looks to be a 2-base all-in follow-up here by Beyond. Very aggressive. So he's trying to keep the attention of Dark out on the map with these drops. And Dark has not scattered. He's checking the third though. At least Dark, he's checking the third base on the right and left-hand side. There is no third in sight. We have 2 tanks already. We're going for a third. Third tank is on the way. Very aggressive build once again out of Björn. And here comes the push. As I did mention before, again, Björn has been so versatile here tonight. Throwing down two more maxes. No third CC, but doesn't need it. Here we go. We're just doubling down. This feels like a Maru build. Like Maru, he's got a lot of all-ins as well in TVZ. And here we go. The tanks are getting in position. Dark getting ready for a surround. Tanks, they're honestly in a pretty good place here. They're almost within range. Hugging that wall. Dark trying to catch reinforcements here in the center of the map. There's nothing to catch. Dark, he's going to have to try to collapse on this. There's no other way about it. We get into the mineral line. We focus on a couple of drones. Things they come in from behind. We go for the tanks. The tanks are going to be focused down. Björn dropping into the main. Does trade well. Gets Lynx, goes to the Evo chambers. It denies +2 carapace. Big pick off. Doesn't get +2 melee. As the drops are forced back. Now, killing 2 tanks is pretty huge. Bearing in mind that Björn is all in and we're going for a second wave. Imagine if this second wave had 4 tanks. That would be insane. But now we're down to 2. Gonna be pulling back. Björn gonna be pulling back, reinforcing here towards the left-hand side. Pivoting around. Headed for that 5th. Now, to be fair, Dark can afford to lose this. This hatchery does not have to be saved. He's rotating over. Tanks are in position. Dark does evacuate. Evacuate. Oh no! We transfer in! 5 drones go down. Ooh, brutal pickups. 5 drones go down. Björn coming in with another drop on the right-hand side. Dark, he's looking for a third, but there's nothing to kill. There's still no third base. And Björn is ready for a counterattack. Ooh, big Bailey connections though. Björn unable to pick up in time. Tanks getting within range here of the natural, of the gas at least. The queens! Jesus, there are so many of them. 9 queens. They focus down the medevac. Reinforcements are coming. Dark, he could try to catch this. And Dark collapsing on reinforcements. Chasing Björn back. And there's no saving these tanks. Ooh, not the best trade with the Bailings, but we take down the tanks nonetheless. And 2 tanks go down. The 3rd is saved. We're pushing in towards the natural base as well. Without tanks, we can bust in. We bust into the natural. Nothing to defend. We get into the mineral line. Good splits out of Björn, but SCVs are still going down. 12 SCVs in total. And again, Dark, he may have lost 1 hatchery, but he's still on 4 bases compared to the 2 of Björn. And he's still all in. Like, there's no transition out of this. It's all or nothing for Björn. Now, Björn, he's up in army supply. Bear that in mind. Björn has a larger army supply than Dark. So Björn can still pull this off. How many tanks? 4. Dark is in some trouble. Dark, he's in a lot of trouble right now. He may have killed SCVs, but what about the army? There's only a handful of Bailings left. Trying to come in from behind. Dark catching reinforcements. And we come in for the surround queens. They warlord in as well. We collapse on top of the tanks. Big Bailing connections. And Dark, he cleans up the tank army, cleans up the main force of Björn. And Björn, what does he have left? He has a handful of Marines and 1 Liberator. And most of his army supply in medevacs. How many medevacs do we have? 9. Oh my god. As many medevacs as there are queens. 9 medevacs. We deny a base, which is good. But again, we're still very all in. Good scan. Focusing down some Banelings. And really, all Dark has to do is survive. Just has to survive here. Beyond, he could try to keep this going by picking up his main base and landing it as his third, or even landing it as his gold. I remember Maru versus Scarlet last year in GSL where that did occur. You could try to pick up your main and go for the gold, but regardless, drop here into that fourth. Getting a bit done. Getting a couple of drones. Do attempt to focus on the medevacs, and oh, we got one. One medevac goes down. The other three get into the main. Hive is done. Adrenal's on the way. The longer this goes on, the better it is for Dark. This Liberator going ham in the natural, though. 12 drone kills. Oh my god. 13. 13 worker kills. A drop into the main base. Still getting so much value. And just started stepping against the Banelings. Very nice trades here by Bjorn. Oh, but the tanks. They survive. Again, Bjorn trading so efficiently. He was down 40 supply. And he's evening up the supplies here. Just out trading Dark. I mean, he has a more efficient army. That's the reality of it. Dark has to be careful. Bjorn can still pull this off. He's still 2 base all in. He's been 2 base all in for 10 minutes. Right, moving forward, the CC going to be landed here as the third. Boys are being pulled, SCVs are going down, a massive link counter-attack, getting so much damage done, crippling the economy. And beyond, we're running out of steam. We're running out of resources. And reinforcements. They come hand in hand as we get 37 SCV kills. Beyond, his economy has been crippled. And now it's all or nothing. There's no more sustain. Down to 1 SCV. Beyond does get a hatchery. Does get the third base, stepping on forward. Deny some Banelings. Oh, but that's a wall of queens. We have transfuse for days. The transfuse don't stop, man. They don't stop, and yeah, we have too much. We overwhelmed the army. And with that, Dark, he's looking to take this series. He's looking to claim another championship here. As Bjorn desperately drops into the main. Dark even burrowing his queens. He's trying to set a trap. Up! Where's the unburrow? Ah! We get the unburrow. We collapse here on top of the medevac. No! Oh my god, it escapes. It escapes, but GG gets called. There's nothing left back at home, and Dark will take the series 3-1, becoming this week's ESL Open Cup Asia champion. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations here to Dark as he will claim another win, another ESL Open Cup Championship here. Very well done, but a shout out to Bjorn because we had a very wide array of Terran here that was displayed in this finals. Bjorn playing a different build every single game, time and time again. Game 1 all the way through to game number 4. Different builds, different play styles out of Bjorn. I mean, I say different play styles, different builds, all a different form of aggression. Sometimes some greed sprinkled in, but still a very aggressive play style. And Dark at times was having a very hard time keeping up. Game 1, Game 2 especially, both those games were very close. Could have gone either way if only, there were a couple of differences for either player. Things could have swung one way or the other. A very close series. I don't think this 3-1 really displays like how close some of these games were. Dark did win, of course, but Bjorn made him work for it. Definitely did make him work for it in the end, and GG. This final game was a little bit less so. Winding it back, if you remember, it was a 2-on-1. CC first into a 2-on-1. I was caught very off guard. 2-on-1s are barely seen nowadays. They're very old-fashioned. It's a very old-school build, and as I was saying at the time, a big reason for it is if you're going for a longer game, a macro game, you give so much freedom to the Zerg player without any Hellion harass, Reaper harass, or Reaper scouting as well. No Banshee follow-up, so you're vulnerable to Roach play. There's a lot of downsides to 2-on-1s. But to be fair, this wasn't your standard 2-on-1. it was a 2-on-1 leading into a tank-based all-in. So I liked the build overall by Bjorn. Unfortunately, momentum swung in favor of Dark when Bjorn lost his first 2 tanks. When Bjorn lost his first two tanks, that was the beginning of the end for Bjorn. Like, when you're all in like this, every unit counts, especially your high-tech units like your tanks or medevacs. You need to preserve them, you need to keep them alive. For Bjorn to lose 2 early on, it meant that he already lost a lot of wind in his sail, right? Like, he was already slowed down quite a bit there before he could pull off the all-in, and GG. GG, well played. Congratulations to Dark. And with that, we're done for today. We are going to be wrapping up here for today, as we're going to be taking a bit of a break here. I say a bit of a break. We're not going to be casting ESL Americas tomorrow. ESL Open Cup Americas is going to be tomorrow, and ESL Open Cup Europe is in is in a couple of hours. We're going to be going over ESL Americas via replays instead at a later date, so enjoy. You know, there's plenty of other casters out there. There's, you know, Steadfast, BMOF, Wardy, Rotterdam, Pig, the Fear Dragon, Chicken Man, Dave Testa. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of live coverage for ESL Americas and ESL Europe, so do support those tournaments. They're going to be starting up in a couple of hours. We are going to be casting the Americas portion of that weekly later on in a couple of days via replays instead. Something that we will be casting tomorrow, though, in around 24 hours, is GSL qualifiers. We have access to the replays. The GSL qualifiers were not casted live. I imagine there's probably a lot of people, a lot of casters that have already covered some of them on YouTube and stuff, like Wardy and Pig. Like, the replays were available a couple of days ago, so you may have already seen some of them. No spoilers in the chat if you have, but tomorrow we're casting them live here on the channel. It's going to be a live cast of the replays from the GSL qualifiers, so we're going to be casting that tomorrow. There's a lot of replays, so I'm probably going to try and split up the cast into 2. It's going to be 2 broadcasts, one tomorrow and the other maybe on Thursday, or maybe another day instead. Maybe Friday looks like another potential double broadcast day, so most likely Thursday. So yeah, that's what we have in store for you. So we won't have ESL Americas tomorrow, but we will have GSL qualifiers. So yeah, be sure to tune in. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. Thanks so much for the support. You can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Discord. We stream not just on Twitch, but also on YouTube as well. And VODs are instantly available on our YouTube channel under the live tab. The process of editing and cutting VODs, that takes a little bit longer, and that does mean that our YouTube uploads are a little bit behind by a couple of months. Actually, they're a couple of months behind. We upload on YouTube on a daily basis, but we're still a couple months behind. But again, if you just want to tune into the VOD, it's a live VOD on YouTube. It's available there under the live tab. Otherwise, thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for the support. We do appreciate it. Gonna be heading off here for the night, and we'll be back tomorrow with that GSL qualifier broadcast. Otherwise, stick around. We're going to be giving another StarCraft streamer a raid. Not too sure who. Who's streaming right now? Who is live? I believe Sort of is live, but Sort of, I know he has, I think he got raided by Rainer, so Sort of has a lot of viewers. There's Ubu Thermal. Let's go. There's Uthermal. There's Quaterno. Vámonos. I guess we're going to be giving it to Uthermal. I guess that makes the most sense here. Unless I find someone else. Well, but regardless, stick around. We're going to be giving another StarCraft streamer a raid. Give them some love. Give them some support. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. Until then, thank you so much for watching. Hasta luego. Hasta luego. Ciao. Happy ciao.